What do you say, Albar?
Everybody who watched survived it, right?
Holy. Oh my. UCF put up 70?
Yes, they did.
Oh my goodness.
Wearing their space uniforms.
Good God.
Space U.
Yeah, that game was 14-10 at the end of the first quarter.
And then UCF went on a run.
All right. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Happy Friday. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this Football Friday?
Football Friday.
Here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I come at you from Jacksonville, Mark in the cozy confines of the 239, where hopefully, slowly, every day, a little bit better. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. You know, on that note, and things will get better here, obviously, post-Ian, but I think you could put a staff just on straightening signs for the next 6 months. I mean, there are so many little things. I mean, obviously, there are the huge things. I get it. But you start seeing the little things on a daily basis that have to be fixed or cleaned up or repaired, and it becomes daunting in your head. It's like, how long is this going to take? 'Cause it's going to take years upon years for this to be fixed. But it is amazing the work that's been done so far. I mean, it's absolutely Pine Island and Sanibel, the fact that we've got crews going to get work done on there, truly amazing what's been going on. And you're right, every day, David, just a little bit better.
Well, some of the big things, I mean, the fact that people are able to get to certain places where the roadways to those places were obliterated. And days later, there's able to be emergency vehicles and also people able to get to their homes and their things for the first time. It's remarkable. And they say that they're going to be permanently replaced within a year in some cases, which seems mind-boggling. But construction in the state of Florida always does move at a faster rate than most everywhere else.
Big day yesterday in Lee County, though, David, because the email came mid-morning, late morning, and scared the ever-living hell out of parents across Lee County, because the first email that came back had 13 schools that are starting on Monday, and that's it.
Right, I saw that. Right, because the thought process was a week ago that there'd be roughly that many that couldn't open.
Right, that was
on
at
Monday.
10:48 in the morning.
Right.
A second email came about 6 hours later that announced another 15 schools that are opening the next day, and they'll get this done. But I know and I was one of the lucky ones because my daughter's was listed on one of the 13 schools that's opening Monday. I did the happy dance. She did the happy dance. We did the happy dance together.
Well, wish there was video.
She's ready to go back, and Dad's ready for her to go back.
I'm sure. Did she make your picks for you, however, before she went back?
100%.
Great. Fantastic. Looking forward to Maddie's picks in an hour and a half. Outstanding. She certainly can't do worse than the two guys that are hosting a radio show.
Well, when I thought her picks were bad, I'm guessing they're awesome.
Right, because 2 of the weeks that I've combined, I think one game, you said, I got to be honest, David, I really like your picks. Well, thanks, Mark. That and $5 will get me a Starbucks. Really appreciate that. But it is a football Friday, and we are ready. No Pat Kerwin today, if you're just joining us and you didn't join us yesterday. Pat, unfortunately, has had a rash of people close to him have deaths in their family. So Pat's attending a series of funerals, and where one of them was going to be this morning, he said, yeah, I don't think I'm going to have good cell reception on the way to the funeral. So Pat joined us yesterday.
Well, and it would have been a little uncomfortable for Pat to do the segment from inside the church.
Well, I think we were going to squeeze it in just beforehand, but knowing Pat, he would go out the back, all right, and try to, because Pat is always working during football season. There is not a day off. 6 days for Sirius XM and Sunday for the NFL Today. So, I mean, he is working. Everybody who knows Pat would understand. What's that noise? Oh, Pat's doing a radio segment. All right. Johnny would understand.
There's no doubt. But Roy Cummings filling in today at 8 o'clock because we had a little mix-up with Roy yesterday. So Roy will join us to talk some Bucks on the show today. Lee Sterling to do gambling, and Chris Landry to break down what is a tremendous college football weekend.
Awesome. I have not talked a ton about it because, one, I don't want to just, have people maybe get jealous or be angry. I mean, we got a ton of Gator fans, and if I spend a ton of time talking about the Tennessee Vols, but Mark, you know how much of a sucker I am for everybody should have a parade. I'm Mr. Underdog, even though, I've always liked watching the Yankees, and, I love it when the big boys are good in college football, the whole deal. But I do have a soft spot for the program that's been down. And does it look like they're coming back? I mean, remember how excited we were 5 years ago with the Canes when they were 10-0 in November. Remember how jacked up we were when Miami got all the way to number 2 in the country, and we're like, no, could the Canes really be back? And how great would that be? And trying to tell people like Felipe, you have no idea how great it was. And explaining to people just how meaningful the Florida State game was nationally and now just is internally. But Mark, can they do it? Nick Saban has been there 15 years. They've never beaten them. Arkansas and Tennessee both play them every year. Every year. Not once have they beaten them.
They can. If Bryce Young's at 50% or less.
What if he's at 70%?
I don't know. Because all of a sudden the Alabama receivers are starting to improve game by game by game.
It's funny how that happens.
And this Tennessee defense is a sieve. And if there's a team that will know how to exploit Tennessee, it will be Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. You brought up a point earlier in the week. that will Tennessee be able to run the football?
Yep.
That boils down to that simple fact. Because Nick's going to largely take away what Tennessee wants to do in the throwing game and try to force Tennessee to run the football. Can they run the football?
And I think they have to be able to run it with a running back too. Because I think Hooker will get his 60 yards. I mean, it's tough to stop a big athletic quarterback from running. It just is. I mean, ask Gator fans how tough it is to stop Richardson when Richardson is going to carry the ball 10, 12 times. I mean, it's tough. Never mind the half dozen scrambles that he may break off on. I mean, it's just tough to stop him. I mean, I think Hooker's going to be tough to stop. I think he's going to have good stats. But last year, I think their leading rusher from the running back position in this game had like 18 yards. And so, that can't happen. Put it this way. I think Tennessee's tailback has to outrush Alabama's tailback. You know how they have the stat, whoever rushes for more yards wins. I actually will break it down even further. I think whichever team has the running back with more yards, that team will win. But can't wait for that tomorrow afternoon. Before that, at noon, talk about a mighty nooner. Michigan, Penn State. The Big Ten raising their hands saying, okay, it's time for us now to start playing really big games. And is Penn State ready to go into the big house and come away with a W? Michigan seen as the veteran team that has more recent pedigree. What a difference a year makes. And are the young Lions, outside of their 14th year quarterback, are the young Lions ready to go in and get a W the way Michigan went to Happy Valley last year and got it done? How about that from noon to 7? Huh?
Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good, to say the very least. That's 210,000 people between the two attendance at those two games, basically.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. And by the way, I'm taking the over. Taking the over. If you put the over under at 210, I'm going over.
I would too. Because they're going to jam as many bodies into those two buildings as is humanly possible.
Yep. I always love when they list capacity. Like at Neyland, it's like 102 and change. All right. My money's on 104. Peyton Manning, the guest picker. I don't think he's ever done that before.
Not to my knowledge.
I mean, he shows up all the time at Vols games, but I don't think he's ever done game day.
Well, he's got that Omaha Productions now. He's out there a little. He was never out there that much as a player. Now he's getting out there in his post-playing career.
Nice to see the Mannings coming out.
Really is. So he's been so shy around the cameras.
Right. Didn't do many endorsements.
No.
Right. Pretty sure he hosted Saturday Night Live as a player.
Yes.
Right. As an active player. Right. So Peyton, the guest picker on game day. What I will be curious about is just how much does he analyze the other games? I mean, because Peyton, he's going to want to go however many games they pick. Usually it's around 11. I mean, he's going to want to put a donut up on the board.
Well, he'll definitely want to be the leader, of the season.
Right. Well, especially with his former punter, sitting to his right. I mean, nothing else. He knows he's got to beat McAfee.
So that should be good just for that back and forth. And those are just the two big games. There's still other games with top 20 teams playing one another in North Carolina State and Syracuse, Oklahoma State, TCU, Utah, and USC.
And it's always not
the Gators and LSU.
Right. It's always nice when the big three in state are merely, there's Miami, Vautech, LSU, Florida, Clemson, Florida State. I guess they're okay.
Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, Paul, Georgia, you tell me if in the 70s and 80s that these teams were ranked this high. Georgia, well, they were for 3 years under Herschel. Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, got to remember, early 80s, won a national championship. Danny Ford. Michigan, Tennessee, no. Tennessee really didn't get going until the 90s. USC, Oklahoma State, no. Ole Miss, no. Penn State, yes. I'd argue 7 of the 10.
Here's the killer. I'm looking at the final 82 AP poll. 3
Right.
Pac-10 teams are in the final top 10.
Mm-hmm.
UCLA, Arizona State, and Washington. But Penn State's ranked. Nebraska's ranked. Georgia's ranked. Clemson's ranked. This was a bad year to pick. But
So apparently the most bet on game of the week is Penn State, Michigan.
yeah,
Because apparently the second most bets are on Penn State and the fourth most bets are on Michigan. Most bets in the country are on the Vols and 7.5.
That's at 7 this morning.
Is it?
Yep.
Well, all those bets on the Vols. Johnny, congratulations, and I'm sorry.
$30 seconds. $15.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. The starting five in a little less than 20 minutes. Like to give a shout out to one of our regulars in the Twitch chat room, Johnny O. We've gone through a lot. They're one of those who, unfortunately, have a blue tarp on their roof and lost their pool cage and all that. But after 2 weeks of trying to put some things back together, he's got the technology again, Mark, to join us on Twitch. Because that's important. Honey, is the internet back? Good. I got to watch my 2 Yahoos. That's a tough explanation to the wife.
Got that right.
But nice to have you back, Johnny O. Hope you and your family are doing okay.
So, Tennessee and Alabama. What is it that you've dug in? You do a lot of research on this game. Is there something that you found that leads you to believe that maybe outside of Bryce Young not playing, that the line's not right, that something's amiss about this game, or is this game easy to figure out?
I don't know about easy to figure out, but to me, like we're doing a lot of with Tennessee. Where were they a year ago versus where are they now? Like when they played Florida, what a 28-point turnaround it was from what they were an underdog last year to what they were this year. And, Mark, Tennessee didn't run 60 plays in this game last year. They could not possess the ball against Alabama. Now, they made a few big plays. Heupel's offense made a few things happen. And the scoreboard, late third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter, said, hey, this is a game. But what was actually taking place on the field was Alabama was taking it to them. Alabama ran like 35 more plays in this game than Tennessee did. Now, last year's Alabama team better at this point of the season than this year's Alabama team. This year's Tennessee clearly better at this point of the season than last year's team. So to me, the first thing I'm looking for, Mark, is that up-tempo offense is great if you can get a couple first downs.
Well, when you said Alabama is not where they were a year ago, and I agree with that, but are they equal, if not a little bit better defensively than they were a year ago at this point, or are they worse defensively? Because I know what you're saying on the offensive side of the ball, but with Anderson and the crew they bring back on defense, I thought the defense was a little better.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that. But then think about that. I mean, Tennessee couldn't possess the ball against last year's Alabama defense.
That's where I'm going with this.
So that's like, I'm curious. Tennessee has not been slowed down yet. I mean, the Gators had a chance to win, but it wasn't because the defense slowed Tennessee down. Not the last 2.5 quarters. They didn't. They got one stop, one in 2.5 quarters. So that's what I'm curious about. No one's really slowed Tennessee down yet. You got to figure Alabama will at some point, right? So then, does Tennessee have a plan B? To me, we think we know what we're going to get from Alabama, don't we? I mean, we think we know what we're going to get from Georgia and from Clemson and from Ohio State. So to me, the burden's on the team in orange. Now, the interesting thing to me in the Michigan-Penn State game is, do we think we know what we're going to get from either team?
I'm almost going into that game blind, if you know what I mean. Like sitting down at noon, not knowing what to expect.
And the spread's exactly the same. It's based, both games are 7 or 7.5, depending on where you look. So, and by the way, 7 I thought was going to be enough to win Thursday Night Football last night. For a long time, I really thought 7 was going to be enough.
I think we can, every once in a while during the summer months, David, we do a show. We don't tell anybody about it, but we'll have a baseball guest and a golf guest and whatever. And we do 4 hours and we don't mention football. It happens once or twice a year.
Right.
I think as a rule, we should do our best to not talk about Thursday Night Football on Friday. Because that just brings the sport, it slows the sport down, sets it back a half century.
And yet the game ended basically on the foot line. I mean, it had drama. But, man, it was terrible. Again. I mean, the team that was leading at the half had 88 total yards of offense. There was exactly 100 yards passing in the entire first half. 56 for the Bears and 44 for Washington. 100 yards of passing.
The only thing exciting about the whole game was Ron Rivera blowing up after the game.
He did. Well, I mean, come on. Ron feels guilty. I mean, no offense, Ron. You trashed your quarterback first. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, I know he got upset because the reporters asked him questions about his quarterback again after he said the quarterback didn't play well enough. I don't know what Ron Rivera expected there.
Right.
And then to give the whole answer, my guys are working hard and they try every week. I don't give a damn.
Good,
they're
getting
paid handsomely to work hard. They're expected to win. And I mean, I would have loved for him to stay there and been asking follow-up questions, because I'd say, Ron, I don't give a damn how hard I work hard. But if I produce bad article after bad article, they fire me too. So then are you saying it's your fault, Ron, and are they going to fire you? Because if they're working so damn hard and they lose every week, then it's got to be you. And I know he's a good guy, and I know Ron Rivera means well, but you can't pull that crap. And I understand, ESPN drops a bombshell the morning of their game that's on Amazon. Convenient. You think they'd have done that on a Monday if the Washington Commanders were playing that night? And hell no.
No, they might have done Sunday morning for the pregame show. But I'm a cynic.
Amazon did mention the story in their pregame, which
Al Michaels went a little further than that, by the way. Did you catch what Al said during the game? And it's not like Al isn't connected when it comes to the NFL and many of its owners. Al Michaels said, and I'm going to try to directly quote this: there are many in the league who seemingly want to get rid of Snyder as owner of Washington. Huh. That's funny, because every time we hear the owners and the commissioner speak, all they do is defend Snyder in Washington. But Al's tea leaves said that apparently a big majority of them want him gone. Huh.
but is that majority 24? Because that's what they need to get him out.
Right.
That's a long, tough article to read, but there was one small quote in it, an anonymous quote saying, he says, Snyder says the NFL is like the mafia. The owners all hate one another. And an anonymous owner says, no, we don't all hate one another. We hate him.
Right. Read the room, Dan. Read the room. 12-7, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't watch. And if you didn't watch, you know what? Good for you.
You're better off for it.
Yeah. Don't even care what you did. Slept. All right. Watch some of your wives' shows, whatever. Read a book. Good for you. 12-7. Washington with the win.
Riveting.
Whoo! Al Michaels went on a Chicago radio station yesterday and said, if the Chicago-Washington game is worse than the Indy-Denver game, I'll retire. At halftime, when it was 3-0, I thought Al was doing 2 more quarters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Chris, I don't think there's much of a chance of Al doing that. First off, Al did that 23 years ago. Al was in his mid-50s. And secondly, Al couldn't get somebody to work with him. There were a lot of people who did not want that job. Al's making $1 million a game, basically. Maybe a smidge less than $1 million a game. So I wouldn't feel too badly for him.
What's Herbie getting?
I think Herbie's getting half.
So you think he's getting like
8?
8 for doing that?
Yeah.
Another.
I think he makes 6 over at the mothership. Which is part of the reason why ESPN let him do it, was that they thought this way they don't have to be the ones to pay him. A, he gets to do the NFL, which is what he wanted. And B, he gets to get paid. Now, I do think Herb Street, when his contract's up next, I think ESPN's going to have to pay him $10 million or more. I mean, that game day is a monster for them financially.
Last 8 quarters of Thursday Night Football, 2 touchdowns.
At halftime, when it was 3-0, think about it. They had played 6 quarters and darn near full overtime and had not had a touchdown.
Really, Trenton, Herbie's pretty popular. And if you consider me in the media, I like him. But the other thing is women like Herbie.
Mm-hmm.
Herbie draws a female audience to television.
Mm-hmm.
15 seconds. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes before the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Lee Sterling in roughly 40 minutes. We'll make our picks an hour from now, including an 8-year-old girl pinch hitting for the best prognosticator on the show. That's right. Hoping that how old's Frank? 12, 13?
I think Frank's like 11, 12, somewhere in there.
Okay. And next week, hoping an 11 or 12-year-old dog can step in and do the prognosticating for the other member of the show. That would be me.
It's what it's come to.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Just looking for a winning week.
Whoo, boy, how far would a 3-2 go right now? Yeah. And Lee Sterling will make his picks before that. And, with his clients, he's doing great. Our show, I think we're rubbing off on him. Last couple of weeks, anyway.
It's not been good.
No. So we got that going for us. Roy Cummings at 8 o'clock as we preview the Bucs going on the road in Pittsburgh. And Chris Landry 2 hours from now for the Dynamite college football schedule. Chris Landry 2 hours from now to break down the games. 20 minutes before the hour, time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
3-0 at the half. 12-7 when it was all said and done. The 38-point over-under, twice as many that was needed. Washington got the benefit of a muffed punt mid-fourth quarter. They recovered it at the 6 and scored, and that was their lone touchdown. Turned a 7-6 deficit into a 12-7 win. They missed a 48-yard field goal with just under 2 minutes to go, and so the Bears took over, and then Justin Fields with like a 50-yard run, first and goal at the 6, and yeah, they came up about a foot short. Washington took over and ran out the clock. 12-7. Both teams are 2-4. Woo-hoo! Yeah, Thursday Night Football. There's actually a couple of decent games on the schedule coming up. There really are. But, folks, here's the deal. See, all the other networks are paying over $2 billion a year for their games. Amazon's paying a mere $1 billion for theirs. So what kind of games do you think they're going to get? Billion, Mark.
I'm sorry. You started talking about that game and I fell asleep again, David.
Mark, $1 billion in the NFL doesn't get you very far. Is what we're trying to say.
Get your Bears Commanders.
It does. It does. There's a lot of other NFL news, though, yesterday. Mark, you may want to stay awake for this. ESPN, during our show yesterday, Don Van Natta with another expose. This one about Daniel Snyder and how he claims the NFL wants him out, but he's got, quote, the dirt, unquote, on the league, the owners, and Goodell specifically. And Snyder is quoted through an associate as saying, quote, they can't F with me, unquote. Yeah. All right. Hey, the Giants got their punter back. Yeah, he was back at practice yesterday after being held for over 3 days in London with a passport issue. Hey, Deshaun Watson's facing another civil suit.
Yes, he is, David.
Number 26, if you're counting at home. 23 of them were settled. One was dropped, and now he's got 2 existing. This one's got some glorious details. And by glorious, I mean disgusting. But Watson, by the way, back with the Browns. He's allowed in the building. He can't practice.
That was earlier this week, right? Yeah.
He's allowed in the building. Because what you want is you want Deshaun Watson hanging around your personnel. He can practice in a couple of weeks, and then he can get ready to play after they've played 11 games. Remember, it was in July that the Houston Texans reached a settlement with 30 women. I mean, heck, that's more women than have sued Watson. Because the Texans were accused of, quote, enabling, unquote, his behavior. And they basically said, yeah, where's the checkbook? Major League Baseball, we were supposed to have 2 games yesterday, Mark. We only had 1. It was in Houston where Yordan Alvarez did it again, trailing in the 6th. He hit a 2-run shot, put the Astros in front 3-2. They tack one on late. They win it 4-2. Listen,
I'm not sure I'd be pitching to him right now.
Well, if you see the pitch that he hit out, you just have to tip your hat.
You're right.
It was Seattle's best pitcher, and he threw him his best pitch, and he threw it 6 inches off the plate low, and Alvarez hits it out of the park. At some point, you're just like, you're too good for us right now. Mark, we all know the Astros cheated, but they are 1 win away from going to their 6th straight American League Championship Series. I mean, you got to admit that's pretty good. 6
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 1 win away. Meanwhile, they didn't play in New York yesterday because of rain, and they're going to play at 1 o'clock today. And also, there's no more off days now in the Yankees-Guardians series. So who's got the better starting pitching depth? I would argue the Guardians.
I don't know if it's an argument.
So game 2 seems kind of key then. because if the Guardians can even the series and then go home and put the better starting pitching on the hill short term, but we'll see. Also, the National League, meanwhile, 4:30 and 8 o'clock for them. So that's why the Yankees got to play at 1. Yanks on TBS. FS1 at 4:30, Braves and Phillies. And Mark, the Padres will host their first playoff game in 16 years tonight. 2006. Think about all that's happened in San Diego since then. I mean, the last time the Padres hosted a playoff game, Marty Schottenheimer was their head coach. And they had an NFL team.
I was going to say they had an NFL team too. Yes.
So both the National League games are on FS1. By the way, Carlos Correa opted out of his deal because, Mark, see, he was only scheduled to make $35.1 million next year. And that's, I mean, what's a 28-year-old guy going to do with $35 million bucks? So he signed a 3-year deal with the Twins last year, but he had an opt-out after every year. And he was graded out as the 5th best shortstop in the American League this year. Okay, that's pretty good. He's making $35 million. It's not enough. Stop that out.
It's not enough years. That's all it is, David. He needs more years on the back end of that. 3 years was not enough.
Well, Mark, who doesn't need more years? College football last night. It was what, 13-10, 14-10?
13-10.
After the first quarter of UCF. And, well, then the Knights kind of broke it open. And by kinda, I mean they outscored Temple 57-3 the rest of the way. 70-13 UCF, thank you very much. 70-13. They wore their space unis last night. As a few people in the media who were at the game, including our friend Matt Baker, as he said, I applaud the effort, not so sure on the execution. So why don't you look it up and let us know what you think? 70-13, UCF's 5-1, just that disappointing home loss to Louisville. A wild one on FS1 last night, and Baylor's struggling. And they were supposed to be a top 10 worthy team this year. I think they've now lost 4 games. West Virginia, with a late field goal, beat them 43-40.
That's Big 12 football right there.
That's the conference we remember.
That's a Thursday night Big 12 game for you right there, 43-40.
So you got UCF scoring 70, and the rest of the Big 12 is going, okay, now we're talking. Now you're ready to join. West Virginia by 3. NHL last night, the Panthers began their season on Long Island. They beat the Islanders 3-1. Paul Maurice, a winner in his debut. Bobrovsky, 31 saves. Patrick Hornquist with the game winner early in the third. Rangers won their second straight. Bread, as they call him, Artemi Panarin. You see where they went there? Panarin, Bread. He had a goal and 3 assists, 7-3 Rangers over the Wild. Crosby and Moulton both scored for the Penguins. How about that? The old guys still got it.
In October.
Right. Well, it's early. 6-2 Penguins over Arizona. Austin Matthews, the game winner in the third for Toronto, 3-2 over Washington. John Tortorella's back in the NHL, and he won last night in his Flyers debut. They beat the Devils 5-2. Did you hear who greeted Tortorella in the dressing room after the game?
Gritty?
Well, I think contractually he has to. Gary Bettman. Bettman popped his head in the office and said, hey, welcome back. We missed you. Good for Bettman.
Now give me a blank check so I can fine you as much as I plan on fining you this year.
Right. Buffalo got 35 saves from Craig Anderson. Here's why that's significant. He's 41 years old. I mean, I don't know if it's worthy of a poll question, but what's more impressive, a 45-year-old quarterback or a 41-year-old goalie? I know you get hit being the quarterback and all, but I could argue, forget the almost, I could argue being a starting goalie in the NHL is actually more physical.
Ooh.
First off, goalies get hit nowadays a lot more.
Yeah, but
the other thing is the stress that you put on your hips and knees nowadays in the butterfly being a goalie. It's tough to be a goalie. Goalies are on the injured list a lot more than they used to be. So, listen, I know Craig Anderson would lose the poll question. I'm just trying to make the point.
We know that.
A 41-year-old starting goalie is pretty impressive. Yeah. Calgary beat Colorado to win their opener 5-3. Not only is it impressive beating the Avs, period, it's the first time Calgary's won their season opener in 13 years. Dallas beat Nashville 4-1. Mason Marchment with 2 goals. Logan Thompson with the shutout, 1-0 Vegas over Chicago. And the Kraken beat the Kings 4-1. They're playing golf in Japan, Mark. It's called the Zozo. And through 2 rounds, Andrew Putman and wait for this, Ricky Fowler are tied for the lead. Ricky Fowler. 10 under par, 1 shot ahead of Keegan Bradley. And the LIV series, they've teed off in Saudi Arabia. Brooks Koepka birdied 2 of his first 3 holes, and he's tied for the lead. Once again, the final on Thursday night was 12-7. Yep.
Right.
12-9 the week before.
Mm-hmm.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was... I believe we call it the starting 5.
The starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
You know what makes me smile? And by smile, want to rip my hair out? Is that we know that the end of the starting 5's coming because Felipe's given, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. And then he goes to start reading an article on the phone as you're finishing this. And he looks at me after he screws up and taps his chest to say, my bad. Who the hell else's bad could it be? There's only one person in charge of the damn buttons on the show. I know, David knows, the entire audience knows that it's on you, Felipe. I don't need my bad. Okay? I know.
Get you next time, buddy.
Yeah.
I feel like the kicker that just missed the game-winning extra point.
I tell you what, if a kicker missed this many extra points, we'd have a new kicker.
Wow. Going there in the first hour of a Frisky Friday. Ah.
I need a kicker. Are there any kickers out there? I'm looking for a kicker. Miller and Moulton. A kicker, a punter, a long snapper. We need something on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts. Or online, FLGolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfcarts.com. FLGolfcarts.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Which 7-point underdog do you give the best shot of winning? Tennessee or Penn State?
I like it. I like it.
Well, RCB, the Hammers' job is to defend the owners, so I did not hear the new Art Schleister news.
He got busted for cocaine.
Oh.
Year after getting out of.
You might as well at this point just put him away, right? He's just a menace to society at large. Well, Trenton, we don't have to put them away, but we could just elect a new one.
Oh, that article is fascinating. I mean, that Snyder hired a lot of private investigators, and he's hired a law firm that hires even more private investigators, trying to get dirt on everybody. He's a sneaky SOB. He's a paranoid, sneaky SOB.
I was not a fan, Jake, of the unis. I really didn't like the helmet more than the top.
30 seconds.
I mean,
The pumpkin unis.
I'll give you once a year they want to take one of the colors in their trimming and make it the dominant color in their jersey. That's fine.
10 seconds.
I actually think if they had kept the normal helmet, it would have looked better.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And it's hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Football Friday.
Football Friday.
And boy, does it kick off in a big way tomorrow. Although I will say, Mark, in Miami tonight, I mean, FIU is like a 5-touchdown underdog. But did you see what they did with their field? They went Miami Vice. The field is like multicolored, and it's got some neon to it and everything. It's like the Vice field they're going with.
All right.
And I think the game's on CBS Sports Network. So
you are correct on that one.
So at 8:00 tonight, if you want to take a couple minutes, you had UCF last night with their space unis, and you got FIU tonight with their Vice field.
Would love it if it wasn't FIU.
Well, that's probably why they did it, attract a little attention. The football program's not generating any good attention. I mean, 33.5-point home dog, that's tough to do unless you're playing a team in the NFL.
Yeah, you really don't think of UTSA as someone that's going to come in and...
Right. I mean, this has to be the biggest number they've had to lay on the road, right, in their history. Are we favored? Are we favored? We're 33.5-point favorites. What? Penn State at Michigan at noon, Alabama at Tennessee at 3:30. 4 other games involving ranked teams playing each other. Oklahoma State, TCU, battle of unbeatens in the Big 12. NC State at unbeaten Syracuse. Are they Kansas, Mark, if you know what I mean? Like you kept saying, you were all over TCU last week, winner, winner, chicken dinner. And you said, listen, this is a cute story and all, but they're really not that good. Do you think Syracuse, 18th in the country, undefeated, is Kansas in different uniforms?
I do. I think that, in fact, they're clearly the worst undefeated team that's a Power 5 team. And ranked appropriately. So the problem here is that I don't know if we're going to find out this week, because North Carolina State, while a good team, they don't score a whole hell of a lot.
No, they don't. They don't. It could be first 1 to 20 in this game. It could be. Mississippi State at Kentucky. Kentucky's starting quarterback really banged up. His status still uncertain. He didn't play last week against South Carolina. They lost at home to South Carolina. Do got to give it up to Beamer, though, the head coach for South Carolina. This is the difference between Saturdays and Sundays. Apparently, Mark Stoops at SEC Media Days was talking about, being a real program, not having to resort to gimmicks. And he referenced, like walking around indoors, wearing shades, pretending you're cool. You just go build a solid program. Well, he was referring to Shane Beamer. So when the game was over, there's a camera in the South Carolina locker room, and Shane Beamer says, now we're going to go out. We're going to talk to the media. We're going to be classy. We're going to say all the right things. But I do just want to take this moment, and he pulls some shades out. And he puts on the shades in the locker room, and the room goes crazy, and they start dancing. The music turns on, and they start dancing. And he's got his shades on. And now that's how you do it, right? That's a college football rivalry right there. That's
Darn
how
right.
you do it.
Darn right.
So, but Kentucky now, just like that, a home dog against Mississippi State. And then, okay, UCLA took care of Utah. Now the next week, it's USC's turn, and they got to go to the mountains of Utah. Can they do it?
They'll be able to score. Will they able to defend? Because they don't do it very well. But Utah's defense isn't all that either. A lot of teams have been able to hang a lot of points on the Utes. So we'll find out what USC and Utah have in store for us late Saturday.
I'm pretty fired up about the home schedule, though. I mean, come on. Florida's hosting LSU, for goodness sakes. It's LSU. It's one of the 3 biggest games on their schedule every year. Only a 2.5-point favorite. What am I missing? And don't get me wrong. I didn't think it'd be a big number or anything, but I mean, they're saying Florida and LSU are even. Are we sure about that? Are we sure Florida's not a little better than LSU is this year? Just this year. I mean, are we sure? I mean, Florida does have a pretty dangerous quarterback.
They do, and LSU has a lot of trouble scoring.
Yeah.
I mean, they're offensively challenged. LSU's defense pretty solid, but offensively, they've not done much. They couldn't do anything really against Tennessee, and Tennessee's defense allows points.
Now, I will say, and if you're a Gator fan, kind of the game within the game here, and you probably know this if you're a Gator fan, but you are one of the, if not the worst program in the country, third down defensively. You cannot get off the field. Well, LSU can't stay on the field. So if you can't get off the field against these guys, then we can stop questioning the defensive coordinator. It's a personnel problem. So to me, that's the game within the game, Mark. If Florida can't get stops against these guys, well, then they're just not very good.
And I don't think they are very good. I think they're a good football team and not much more than that. LSU, we'll find out if they can get to that level of good this week. This is a game with great names and not great football programs right now.
Miami couldn't beat North Carolina at home. Can they beat Vodtech on the road? This just in. The Hokies are not good. Like, if Miami doesn't win this game, I would genuinely, you know how Felipe is wont to like disown his teams after a disappointing loss? This, Felipe, would be the type of loss in which if you want to put the Hurricanes on the shelf, if they can't beat Virginia Tech, you can put them on the shelf.
This is every bit of what Florida and Missouri was last week. This is the same game to me. And Florida had a little bit more to prove because they had lost 6 SEC games in a row. But sometimes you just need a program win. David, that's the game for Miami against Virginia Tech. It's that simple. This is a game that you're better than them. You've got a better quarterback than they do. You should be able to just go out there and win this game by executing. Can Miami do it?
And if they can't, oh boy. And speaking of what am I missing, but then again, we were wrong last week. Florida State's only a 3.5 or 4-point dog at home against Clemson. What am I missing? Clemson's undefeated. They're clearly one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the country. Florida State may not be one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the ACC. I think they are, but are we sure? They got issues on the offensive line once again at Florida State. I mean, do you put it this way? Do you all think Florida State's going to keep it close? I mean, you're a 3.5, 4-point dog at home. You're basically saying, hey, this is going to be a slugfest all day. I'm not sure of that.
You know, Florida State's been able to move the ball better than I thought they would this year. Their offense has been average to above average at times.
Mm-hmm.
Wake Forest has an unbelievable offense, and was able to score. Florida State couldn't score against Wake. I don't see how they're going to put up the points against Clemson that they're going to need to. And Clemson's offense seems to be starting to gel a little bit.
And I think Clemson also deserves some credit here. They played Wake and NC State back-to-back. And then, hey, come on now. We all know how tricky it can be. Sandwich game at Chestnut Hill. And they went up there and just destroyed Boston College. Just pounded them. And now here they are, Florida State. And this is a rivalry. Clemson ain't going to overlook Florida State. So that line's interesting to me. I thought that line would be closer, quite frankly, to 6-7.
I did too.
Boy, it'd be great if the Vegas is right. It'd be awesome for the Noles. Man, steal a win against Clemson? Oh, man. That happens. Nobody better bring up Mike Norvell for like 3 years.
Hell, cover, I'd be impressed.
Listen, if they're going to do that, then they better win, okay? If I'm going to lose one of my picks, just win outright, will you? Don't do what you did last week, okay? Get 3.5, and lose by 2. Don't do that to me. Either win the damn game or get beat by 7 or more, okay?
That's what we call a tell on this program. And I'm feeling better about Maddie's picks by the minute. For those just joining us, I have given up on picking football games. I told my daughter on Wednesday she's picking the games all day Thursday. Daddy, when are we going to pick the games? Not until later. And I just went through 5. I went through 5 college football games. I went the Alabama game, I went the Michigan game, I went the USC game, and then I went Florida and Florida State. And just said, who do you like? And I said, do you want me to explain this point spread thing to you, or are you just going to pick teams? Explain it to me, Dad. I explained it to her. It meant nothing. She hemmed and hawed at it like, are you sure? Not really, Dad, but I don't know. This is what you're supposed to know. I'm picking this team. Got to be better than what I'm doing. Got to be better than what I'm doing at this point. Lee Sterling. He does this for a living. He will be next on Miller and Moulton making his picks, and then we will make ours, the ones you want to run from, on Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, or Kenny, man, I would hope people would just at this point just step back for another couple years. Let's see what the product's going to turn out to be. FSU money line. Look at you, Behind. Isn't Taggart at FAU? FSU legend Willie Taggart, that is.
Jimbo.
Which is, of course, hysterical because he did take him to the playoff twice and win a national title. But yes. Adam, I'm with you. That was an absolute blank show that he inherited.
Come on, Lee. I know you retweeted it, so I know you saw it. David, I don't know if you'd look at it. Does that email come to you with everybody's name on it? Is it blind carbon copied or just regular 2 when you see with that email that I send? Does it have everybody's on there? 'Cause I can't see what it looks like. It's just a automatic thing that it does.
30 seconds.
No, it's got everybody.
Okay. That's why whenever I do Pat, I always do a separate one just for him, so I don't share that email. Everybody else I don't care about as much.
Right. No, it's Lee, Chris, and Roy.
Yeah.
All on it along with me.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll make our picks in roughly 20 minutes. You'll want to go the other way with me, but you may just want to hold off this week. Mark's 8-year-old daughter making the picks for him. All right. We could be stumbling upon gold here. Lee Sterling is gold, and this is Locktober. And if you're one of his clients, you know that. Paramount Sports, ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
Good. I'm real good. I just want to know, did your daughter get to miss school for this picking?
She's been out of school. She starts school Monday because of Ian. They've not gone back. We only, with what's happened, we're opening schools on Monday in Lee County. Only 13 of them open on Monday, 15 more on Tuesday. So we're still going through getting all these schools able to be open with everything that they need to do post Ian. So she has been.
You got to keep the mind going. Got her picking games now.
I've got her picking games, and I taught her how to play gin. She's going to go back to school as a 3rd grader. What'd you learn? We're going, Dad taught me how to play gin. You know that if you get blitzed in all 3 games, you have to pay double? Oh, okay.
Oh, it was quick. Let me tell you a quick story. So what happened when my daughters were going through middle school and high school, I guess people used to read, some of their teachers used to read the sports section, and there was a column called Joe versus the Pro. And my picks were in there. And so that was the topic of conversation. They were so embarrassed.
I've got plenty of years to embarrass my daughter while I do this job, Lee. You know that for sure. All right. I am fascinated by a lot of your games because I had my daughter pick the big games as well. We're going to probably go head-to-head on a lot of these. See how you do against an 8-year-old this week. Alabama and Tennessee, the Crimson Tide, it's down to 7. It was 7.5 most of the week. I'm seeing it at 7 this morning. What do you think in this big one?
Well, the last 5 years, the closest the game has been 22 points. And I do think Tennessee's coming. But everyone's talking about Bryce Young. I think he's playing. And Tennessee's got some injuries too here. So Cedric Tillman, not playing, wide receiver, had over 1,000 receiving yards last year, 12 touchdowns. 2 of their top 4 defensive backs could be out, Burrell and McCullough. And just think that they were kind of gifted the game last week. They obviously deserve some credit. They were up 20-0, but they get a fumble on the opening kickoff. Had a punt return, set up another score, and then twice LSU goes for 4th and 1, doesn't come up with it here. I'm going to go with Alabama. Roll Tide, 45-31.
Speaking of LSU, they're in the swamp, and the number a little smaller than what Miller and Moulton thought it would be. Florida's just a 2.5-point favorite, so basically they say these teams are even, but since Florida's home, they're a 2.5-point favorite.
So LSU might be one of these teams that they're zig and zag. They play a terrible game, then they play great. And they just didn't play well last week. So here's something that's really important this time of year, stats. You can start looking at stats, and they tell you the story of what's going on. Florida, completing just 56% of her passes. LSU, 67% of their passes here. Time of possession, Gators only averaging 26 minutes out of the 60 minutes. I think LSU's the right side here, 32-24.
Clemson and Florida State, another game that when you look at the number, you wonder why it is as low as it is. Clemson just a 3.5-point favorite against Florida State.
Yeah, I'm pretty good on Sunday nights. I'll sit there and run through estimate the lines. I thought this was going to be 6.5, 7. I don't get it, but I'm looking when that happens. First thing I do is look at injuries. No significant injuries. I just think Clemson's a much better team. The biggest improvements, their offensive line and DJ Ugalele. Last year, 9 touchdowns at this time and 10 interceptions. This year, 14 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. He's also second leading rusher. He is looking off defenses, finding the second and third receiver. His growth is unmatched. And then Will Shipley. I mean, the guy's just dependable, finds his way once you get in the red zone into the end zone here. I like Clemson. I think they win this one here, 31-17.
All right, to Sunday we go. And we mentioned this for our viewers our listeners, I should say, in Southwest Florida, that both the Bucs and Dolphins game are on the same time on the same network. So you're going to have to make alternate plans depending on where you are. You're not going to be able to see both games. But Bucs in Pittsburgh, and they're an 8.5-point road favorite.
So I think the Bucs are good, but as we saw last week, there's going to be some times they got leads and they're just going to try to protect it like last week. And I think that's partially one of the reasons I'm favoring Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh just can't keep playing as bad as they played. Their offensive coordinator, Canada, this is probably his last stand if he wants to save his job. I think they're going to move the pocket a bunch here. They've got really good receivers, Pittsburgh, and they're just going to try to get the ball in their hands in space and let them make plays here. So I think it's going to be maybe a 7-point game going into the last drive, and Pittsburgh has a chance to stay in it. So I think this is going to be an entertaining game, even though Pittsburgh has some injuries in the defensive backfield. I think Tampa Bay wins the game 27-20, but I'll take the 8.5 points here in the Steelers.
And then the Dolphins down to a third-string quarterback, or so it seems right now, taking on the Vikings and Kirk Cousins. Right now, Minnesota is a 3.5-point favorite.
So the biggest problem here for Miami is Xavier Howard. He is going to have to be close to the top of his game. And they say he's playing, but how he's going to cover Justin Jefferson, I don't know. He has not looked great this year. I think he's probably 80-85%. Justin Jefferson's almost unguardable. And then you throw in Dalvin Cook coming home to his old stomping grounds. And when he gets in the secondary, it is 28 to the gate, or good night, Irene, whatever saying you want to use there. So starting a third-string quarterback's tough. I mean, I think Skylar Thompson's good, probably one of the better third-string quarterbacks, but he's not Tua. Also, injuries on the Miami offensive line. I think Minnesota's the right side here, 27-17.
So he likes Alabama laying the 7. He'll take LSU in the points. He'll take the Steelers in the points. He'll lay the points with the Clemson Tigers and the Minnesota Vikings. That sets up, however, in the game of the week, and Lee's including his beloved Canes in the game of the week. It's Miami at Vatech.
Real strong feeling on this game. That's what's crazy is I just realized that 4 of the 5 games involved Florida teams. I went against every single one of them. So we're going to give you Miami and Virginia Tech. Just call 800-400-9741. It's on me. 37-19 run the last 5 weeks. You want to get October 3 weeks through October 31st, just 247. And I've got 2 big plays this week. We are ready to release them right now. 45-unit play in college on Saturday, 45-unit play on Sunday in the NFL. I'm going to send them to you guys right now. So as soon as they kick off, feel free to tweet it out. And we've had a lot of success, 51-18 on these 40 to 50 unit plays the last decade. So let's have a great weekend. Everything's up and available. Basketball starting on Wednesday. Hockey already started. We're 7-2 in hockey. UFC this weekend. One place, ParamountSports.com.
800-400-9741, ParamountSports.com. Follow Lee on Twitter at Paramount Sports. Lee, as always, appreciate it.
Okay. You guys have a great weekend.
Thanks, Lee.
So Miami and Vatech is game of the week. And that is interesting that he gave us 5 free picks, 4 of them involving a Florida team. And he did go against all 4 Florida teams.
He went all 4 Florida teams a week ago, though, and that did not work out well for him.
Right. So, he's got a memory. He's angry at them. He's containing his anger and just picking against them. Taking LSU, Clemson, the Steelers, and the Vikings. And the number.
So Maddie and Moulton's picks coming up on the other side. I have retired for a week. My 8-year-old daughter has taken over this slot. Couldn't get her to record it. We have them written down. Moulton will make his picks. I'll make mine. We'll figure out how much you want to go the other way on those on the other side. Thanks for listening to Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark, is your course open?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it is. Yeah, we opened on Monday.
Wow, beast mode, 2 weeks without power. That sucks.
That happened to me with both. That happened to me for Charlie. It happened to me for Wilma. It happened to me for Irma. Literally 13 days every single time. Alabama, LSU, Clemson, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Minnesota Vikings. I'll give that to you again, SEC. Alabama, LSU, Clemson, the Steelers, and the Vikings. I only differ with Lee on one pick. Well, I shouldn't say I. My daughter only differs with Lee on one pick.
There you go.
And that was the one that I asked, are you sure? And she went, no, this is your job.
Four of my 5 picks involve a Florida team. When you say they, you mean the people working on your roof?
Huh? I can see that happening. I got to climb on my roof tomorrow. I don't like heights. I got to clean out the eaves troughs. They're just a train wreck from the storm.
You can pay somebody.
It's 5 minutes worth of work.
What are you cleaning out?
My eaves trough on my roof.
How did they get this video?
How'd they get the Warriors video?
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That's what they just showed.
You showed it. How?
No system, DC.
Here we go.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Roy Cummings will join us at the top of the hour. Since Pat Kerwin joined us yesterday, Roy Cummings pushed back his appearance till today. We'll talk a little Bucks heading to Pittsburgh, taking on the Steelers. And a reminder, Bucks on Fox at 1 o'clock, Dolphins on Fox at 1 o'clock. So depending on where you live, you'll get one, but you can't get both.
Well, I think our entire listening audience is getting the Bucks at 1.
I think so too.
I mean, obviously, Lake City and Tampa are getting the Bucks. Port Charlotte's getting the Bucks. We're getting the Bucks down in the Fort Myers, Naples area.
So just throwing that out there. Make your plans accordingly.
So Seaside will be Clutch. That's Clutch with a K.
Oh, see what you did there.
Are there more Bucks fans or Dolphins fans in this area, though?
In Southwest Florida, Dolphins fans.
Then why do they show the Bucks games?
Because there's one network that has one network has the other. Fox is obligated to show the NFC team, the Bucks.
NFC. That's right, NFC.
But each affiliate makes their own decision before the season as to who their team is. Fox 4 in Southwest Florida is a Bucks station. And so when there's a doubt, they always run the Bucks. And if you think about it, in Port Charlotte, even closer, run the Bucks. Tampa, St. Pete's, obvious. Lake City, I guess, could be up for grabs. But if I had to guess, I would guess Bucks. 20 minutes before the hour. Okay. All right.
I'm ready, David. You know why I'm ready? Because I did not make one of these picks myself.
I'm just curious, how many of your 8-year-old daughter's picks do you agree with?
3.
So
I'm sorry, 2. 2.
So basically, if you two were going head to head, all right, you disagree on 3 of the 5 games.
And you'll be able to figure out which 3 because she has points in 3 of the 5 games, David. You know me and favorites.
That is true, Mark. That is true. Ladies and gentlemen, I am 14 games below 500. when you're picking, and you're supposed to pick 5. I pick 6 or 7 a lot, but when you're 14 games below 500, and one of them, by the way, all right, you were 7 games below 500 just in 1 week. Yeah, that's right. 0-7-1. Put that one up on the board. Thank you very much. So I'm 14 games below 500. Mark, about 8 games below 500. And he has given up. And so he recruited his 8-year-old daughter, Maddie, to make the picks for him.
I've done some different things to try to get a slump buster, but go to my degenerate gambler friends, go to the opposite of what they're doing. But I figured I would enlist the 8-year-old to help me out. And we started out with Alabama and Tennessee. She asked for some colors.
And you told her?
Yeah, I told her. And then she just looked at me with a very straight face and she said, Alabama, Dad. Alabama.
So she doesn't like orange. That's what she's saying. All right.
Yeah. In fact, that's a key to this whole segment right here. My daughter does not like orange.
Huh. Okay.
We went LSU in Florida. She said, what other name? It's Florida. That's the Gators, right? I said, yeah. Who's LSU? I said, the Tigers. She said, so the Tigers and the Gators. She said, give me the Tigers.
Well, so far she's taken the same 2 picks as Lee Sterling, who does this for a living.
Then we went FSU Clemson. And again, I pointed out to her that Clemson was the Tigers. You just took the Tigers against the Seminoles. She said, give me Florida State plus 3.5.
Why?
No idea. I said, are you sure? I mean, I went on this one 3 or 4 times. I wanted Clemson. Clemson would have been my pick of the week. That was the one game I was most sure on. She's got Florida State plus 3.5. We went to Michigan and Penn State. She took the Wolverines.
Why?
Again, I didn't get much out of her on this one. Her rationale behind it was she's just picking Michigan. When I tried to really gear her down as to why, she said, I don't know, Dad. I'm just taking Michigan. You're from Michigan. Good enough for me.
Huh?
And finally, she couldn't figure out what a Ute was. And not many of us can. So we went USC plus the 3.5 as she takes the Trojans over Utah. So we are getting points in 3 games with USC, FSU, and LSU, laying 7 with Bama and Michigan.
So in other words, she was either Marissa Tomei or Joe Pesci. Okay. Looking at Fred Gwynn going, 2 Utes.
2 Utes.
What's a Ute?
What's a Ute?
Okay. Fair enough. Ole Miss laying 15 at home against Auburn. Auburn's not very good. In fact, Harson's going to get fired. Now, I have to admit, I thought he was going to get fired after getting whacked by Georgia. But he's 3-3. This just in. The last 4 times that Auburn has made a coaching change, the coach who got fired that year lost to Ole Miss. It's going to happen again. I like Ole Miss at home. I'm laying the 15 against Auburn. Ole Miss, a sneaky SEC West contender. They host Bama in mid-November. I'm sorry, Mark, to disagree with your daughter, but I'm taking Clemson and I'm laying the 3.5. I thought this line would be 6-ish.
I did too.
So I hope I'm wrong. I hope Florida State wins. I will be rooting for Florida State. I don't think they're ready to win this game yet. May not be for 2 more years, actually. Now, 2024, when they host Clemson, I think they're ready to win this game. Would love to be proven wrong. Give me the Tigers, lay the 3.5. I don't think Florida and LSU are even. And I know Florida's got some stats Lee quoted, Anthony Richardson, not the greatest thrower in the world, only 56%. We talked about how Florida could be the worst, depending on which defensive statistic you look at, could be the worst 3rd down defense in the country. But I don't like LSU on offense. And so I think Florida at home, I think they win. The number's less than 3. tough to win and not cover this game. So I'm going to lay the 2.5 with the Gators. Vatek is bad. They really are. I know they got the great intro, and then that's it. This is a bad program. Bad. They had Hooker, by the way, and let him transfer because they didn't play him. Yeah, that's how well the decision-making is in Blacksburg these days. Give me the Canes and lay the 7 against Vatek. Miami's lost 3 in a row. They should be angry at this point. And do you think the Jags are going to sweep the Colts? And if you don't, the number's 2. 2. So basically, pick a winner. Jacksonville at Indianapolis. The Jags have won one road game in 3 seasons. Are you really going to take the Jags? I'm going to take the Colts. I know Jonathan Taylor's banged up. Matt Ryan's looking 67 years old. I get it. But I'm sorry. After last week's performance by the Jags, I don't have faith in them to sweep the Colts. First divisional rematch in the NFL this year. First chance for somebody to sweep someone else. I don't like their chances. Give me the Colts and lay the 2. And that's it. I'm sticking with 5. I've created enough damage along the way. I don't think I should do any more.
Very Miller with your picks. 5 favorites there, David.
Yes. Yes.
So unlike you. Usually you like the points a couple of times.
I was tempted to have a 6th pick. In fact, I wrote it down, and then during the show, I canceled it. And not because I don't like the pick, just because, you know what? The damn segment calls for 5. Could you follow the rules once in your life? That's what I said to myself.
One of the beautiful things about the segment is that you don't follow the rules. It's one of the things I've always enjoyed. You know that 6th game's a winner.
It probably is. For what it's worth, Patrick Mahomes has never been an underdog at home since becoming the starting quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is an underdog at home. Now, I also have a theory. I don't like teams that win on Monday night, the next game. And I really like teams that lose on Monday night because of the urgency factor to win their next game. Raiders have a bye, so that doesn't apply. So the whole Monday night thing talked me out for the Chiefs. But how many times do you get Patrick Mahomes in points? You're getting 2.5 right now with the Chiefs. So that's the one I wrote down and crossed out. Ooh. Do with it accordingly.
Ooh. Miller and Moulton. Text line is open at 21,000.
I will say, we're talking about the college schedule and how sexy it is. You know, the NFL's got some key 1:00 games, and then late afternoon, they got Buffalo at Kansas City, and then Sunday night, they got Dallas at Philly. I mean, if the NFL doesn't deliver this week, it will be a shocking upset because they got some matchups. I probably should have took the Vikings. Didn't have the guts. Lee Sterling did.
Yeah, that line, if everything holds the way it should be. I mean, I know it's a road team and all that, but how are the Dolphins going to win this football game?
Going to have to win the turnover battle because I think they're going to have to get 7 points that way. I thought Lee focused on a key matchup, which is, Xavier Howard is not 100%, and Justin Jefferson may be the best receiver in the league. And as you mentioned during the week, Mark, and I know you're having fun with it, but Kirk Cousins at 1:00 is the top 5 quarterback in the league. Kirk Cousins, once the sun goes down, is a bottom 5 quarterback in the league. But for whatever reason, when the sun's out, he's amazing.
And I just don't know what Miami will be able to put in offensively to try to take advantage of the Vikings. It just seems a simpler defensive plan for Minnesota. They're going to be able to bother this quarterback.
So Skylar Thompson going to have to be terrific. Going to have to be one of those stories that we talk about and go, wow, remember when the Dolphins with their third string quarterback? Whatever happened to that guy?
Problem is Miami can't run it, David.
I know.
And if a third string quarterback's going to win a game, don't you have to have a running game? And Miami just doesn't have one right now.
Also, if a third string quarterback is able to, on his shoulders, win a game, you have to ask the question, should he be the third string quarterback? You think it's possible, by the way, we see Teddy Bridgewater in this game? He is listed as the backup. All right. He did not suffer a concussion, even though he's been in the concussion protocol. As opposed to Tua, who first time around, we're all pretty sure did suffer a concussion and was never in the protocol.
In fact, was allowed to go back and play.
And then played 4 days later. So I'm wondering if we see Teddy Bridgewater early in this one.
I've been waiting for them to announce that Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the starter, David. And I can't believe the line hasn't moved with Thompson being the starter.
So there you have it. Those are our picks. One of them's an 8-year-old girl, and the other's me. I would lean on her. But that's just me.
Poll question is up. Which 7-point dog do you think has the best shot of winning this week? Tennessee over Alabama, Penn State over Michigan. My daughter says neither. Right now, you're saying Penn State slightly, a slight edge, 54% to 46% right now. Those of you saying Penn State is a little better shot than Tennessee to win this weekend. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network on Twitter, or FloridaSportsNetwork.com.
Well, just from a future schedule standpoint, if Penn State goes into the big house and wins, they get the Buckeyes at their place in 2 weeks. And they get Minnesota at their place, too, if you think they're the best to come out of the West. By the way, Minnesota, Illinois this week.
Illinois all banged up for that game, though.
They are. They are. Biggest regular season game for the Illini since Ron Zook was the coach with Rashad Mendenhall 15 years ago.
We'll shift from Saturdays to Sundays and talk with Roy Cummings about the Bucs and the Steelers. That's up next on Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
You had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Here I am in Daytona Beach, where all the great guys in the USA come to be gay.
How are you listening to?
This is Natalia. She is my sister. She is number 4 prostitute in all of Kazakhstan.
Well, it's Borat.
Yes, it
What
is.
does ATF stand for? Alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives. And what else does he sell? Well, how did you find your son? I fucked him. You swapped him? Swapped the baby
Hey.
for what? For an iPod.
What in the hell?
Yesterday, Jordan Spieth and Scotty Scheffler played against John Isner and Dirk Nowitzki in a pickleball match. Pro Pickleball Association.
David, enough. Hi, Roy.
Hi, guys.
You done over there?
I was just watching Sacha Baron Cohen's birthday today. I was just watching a clip.
I know.
That's all.
But I had you muted for all of it because that'll knock us off Twitch.
Oh.
That's all copyrighted stuff. So.
Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, I didn't have my headphones on. I didn't think it was going over.
It was going over loud and clear. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
You had your headphones right next to your phone, David.
Well, that's Roy. That's what Mark's been overcoming all these years.
I get it now. You guys are a great team.
Well, I don't know about that.
You got each other's back. I see that.
That's very true.
That we do.
Yes, you do.
It's the front that we probably need to protect more.
Wow. Very studious look there, Roy.
I know.
Very impressive.
This is my home office. I'm not at work anymore. I'm in my home office today.
I was going to say, this is very History Channel-ish
Yeah.
of you.
I'm a bit of a history buff. Hey, personal thing before we get going, if we have a sec. Do you guys know a Brian Mullen? He's about my age, heavyset guy.
30 seconds.
I don't.
Okay.
Don't think so.
All right. I would have thought down in Fort Myers he would have known you guys. I was just wondering how he was doing. Or if you'd heard anything from him.
That name does not ring a bell.
Okay, very good.
I think he was a left winger for the Blues back in the day.
He's a massive
Here we
Red
go.
Sox fan and things like baseball fan.
All right.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it's the 8 o'clock hour on a football Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Roy Cummings, kind enough to join us on a Friday at 8 o'clock because we had to rearrange our guest list yesterday. Roy, thanks for accommodating us. Roy, of course, who covers the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, pewterpirates.com, and Bay News 9. Follow him on Twitter at rcummingsfhcn. And if you're joining us on Twitch, last week, Roy joined us from what looked like just a generic office. This week, he's joining us as part of the History Channel. Well, what is behind you?
What is behind this? Is I'm in my home office, and I'm an avid reader, and a history buff is probably the best way to put it. Just can't seem to get enough of it. A lot of sports books in there as well, but most of it's history. And
wow.
So that's I haven't. And people ask me, "Have you read all those?" And I have read most of them. There's probably about 6 or 8 in there that I haven't read yet, but most of them have been read already.
Give us one history book that the American public should read that they probably haven't. Give me one book back there that you say, this is the one that you should read.
Rise and Fall of the Third Reich is one. But I would say from an American perspective, Undaunted Courage. It is exceptional. It is about Lewis and Clark's expedition. And while that may not be one of those history moments that the people kind of automatically think of as a great moment in history, it really was. The venture west to find out what was out there in the country that we were in back in that period was amazing, and the writing is exceptional. It's a page turner. It's thrilling to go through the journey with them. Absolutely marvelous. It's a page turner.
Mark, this could become a weekly thing. We could just, spend 10, 12 minutes talking about the Bucs and then say, okay, Roy, 60 seconds, give us your book of the week.
I love it. But
Alexander Hamilton is the book of the week now. I'm a little bit behind. Should have read that a couple of years ago, but absolutely love the show. Hamilton is one you got to see if you're into musicals. And
I'm not into, I like Broadway but it's not the thing I'm into. Roy, I could not agree more. It was amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. I know it's coming another run through all of the theaters here in Florida. This, I believe, this winter. So hopefully you can check it out if you have not as well. All right, we do this because we talk about the Bucs, and they got through last week. It wasn't pretty, but it's a W. And this little soft spot on the schedule, Roy, the Bucs really just need to take care of business here for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, you're right. Soft spot in the schedule, and it comes at a good time for the Bucs because they're a little bit banged up. Logan Ryan didn't practice yesterday. We don't know what he's going to be like this week. They've got some issues there. Obviously, the receiving core. It looks like Julio Jones could be a week-to-week thing throughout the course of the season. I really think, guys, they need to go out and start entertaining some offers about wide receivers. Odell Beckham Jr. is out there. I think you got to start looking forward to maybe possibly giving him a look, because I think in the second half of the season, when you get past this soft spot in the schedule, assuming that everything is good and solid after that, you're going to need some bodies here, and particularly in a pass-first offense. Byron Leftwich came out last week unapologetically and said, we're a pass-first offense, and then backed it up by throwing 52 passes. I think you've got to get some receivers here. The line is holding up very well right now, which I think is exceptionally good considering the makeup of that unit. Tom Brady is being Tom Brady. He's making other players better, but I think you got to get some weapons around him, because right now they're missing Rob Gronkowski. Obviously, they're missing Cameron Brate. The tight end core isn't quite what it was. They don't have that slot option that they really need. I think they've got to go out and get a body or two.
Well, it's interesting that you made that point right as we got a comment in our Twitch chat room. Do you anticipate any moves by the Bucs? Let's be honest. There have been times in the past where this regime's been aggressive, but they did not go get offensive linemen in August and early September when we thought they should have. Now, maybe they're being proven right, but like OBJ would cost money, not picks, but money. Roy, do they have the space for OBJ?
Well, what they've got is they've got the personnel in their front office under Jason Light to make that happen. They're smart enough to put together an offer for an Odell Beckham Jr. that keeps them under the cap, pays him the way he should be paid. Again, it's going to be a half a season. So think of it that way as well. I think the trade deadline is something the Bucs have to look at here. They're all in, and they should be. Once again, much like the Super Bowl season, they're in a bit of a crunch here. They're not playing their best football yet, but they're hanging in there. They're at the top of their division. That's important. They're all in on the Super Bowl, and if you can make a deal here and give up a draft pick or two, I think they'd be willing to do it, because you got to keep both eyes on the present here, not one eye on the future, as I think you always should. But I think it would behoove them impressively to go out and get a body.
2 weeks from Tuesday, by the way. Tuesday, November 1st is the NFL trade deadline.
Is Cameron Brate going to play Sunday?
He participated yesterday. He's got to get out of the concussion protocol. I think there's a chance. Right now, I'd say it's a 50-50 chance of him playing. And, I would err on the side of caution with him. He's too important to you. You don't want him to go out there too soon. And doctors won't let him. But this is the NFL. Sometimes who knows if the coaches follow what the doctors say.
Talking with Roy Cummings. He covers the Tampa Bay Bucks, PewterPirates.com, Bay News 9 in Tampa. Follow him on Twitter, rcummingsfhcn. All right, I'm going to make a case that last week was better than the final score. I mean, for 2.5 hours, they absolutely dominated an NFL team. Now, the score should have been more than what it was. But, I mean, I thought the Bucs were like 2 plays away from that being 35-0. I thought they were close to it being a really impressive performance. Am I looking at it through pewter-colored glasses?
No, I don't think you are. Look, I felt after the first, 3 minutes of the game, they were in complete control. They could have done whatever they wanted with the Falcons. Yes, they could have won 35-0, and they could have won the way they did. This isn't college. You don't have to necessarily, put your foot on the gas and rev it up and score 72 points against the team that's pretty much beaten up. They got a little bit sloppy at the end. Look, I think they got lucky at the end. They got a call in their favor on the roughing the passer. Never should have been called. Horrible call. From a football perspective, the Falcons were robbed of an opportunity to win that football game. The Falcons played an excellent fourth quarter. I think the Bucs are guilty of one thing, maybe letting up on the gas a little bit in the fourth quarter instead of putting it on. But they were in control of that game for 3 quarters plus. And yet at the end of the day, you win the game. That's what matters. That's all that matters.
But you are right, Roy, in that this is a league where if you don't put a team away by the fourth quarter, every team has shown the ability to come back. The Falcons did that. That would be the only thing in this Pittsburgh game. To me, the difference between this week and last week is that you got to put your foot on their throat when you get the opportunity to take a team out, particularly when you're a little banged up like they are.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you got to get out there early, take a lead early so you can rest your guys a little bit more, use your depth a little bit more. I think that's going to be important. The thing that I would fear about this game, guys, darn good coach on the other side. Tough team, gone through some tough times this year. Steelers, watch out. I think this is I wouldn't call it a trap game for the Bucs, but the Steelers are going to be ready.
All right, in terms of the matchup, because if you think about it, the Bucs are about the same favorite this week as they were last week, but Atlanta was a heavy run team. Pittsburgh has no running game and don't expect to have one this week, but they do have a nice wide receiving core. Is this a better matchup for Tampa's defense or a more dangerous matchup?
Given some of the injuries, I think it's a little bit more of a dangerous setup because I think they're going to have to blitz a lot, and that could end up costing them. Again, Mike Tomlin has a way in his unit They have a great approach to every game. They are always prepared. They've always got a plan B. They'll go to it quickly if they need to. I think this is a game that don't let the first quarter dictate to you how this is going to go, because unlike the Falcons, I think the Steelers would adjust much more quickly than the Falcons would. If there's something that has to be done here, they'll do it in the second quarter. Certainly they'll do it after the half. They won't wait around for 3 quarters to figure out what they got to do to win this game. Again, I think the Bucs need to steal a possession or two early on, take a double-digit lead early on. I think that's going to be their best way. You don't want to get into a fight here, a close-knit game, because I think at the end of the day, if it's a one-score game, if it's a field goal type game, they could be in some trouble. I don't fear the quarterback, but I do fear those receivers, and you have every reason to believe that could be an issue given some of the injuries the Bucs have.
How close is Godwin to 100%?
Not very.
Will he be this year ever?
No, I don't think so. I think you're looking at – I think his injury is one of those – back in the day, those injuries used to take a guy 6 months to a year to get healthy. Technology and science and medical advances have allowed the players to kind of get back to 100% in 6 months. But for whatever reason, I don't feel he's ever going to be 100% this year. I think he's going to struggle through it all year. Once again, the reason why I think you got to go out and get another body. Boy, whoever thought they'd miss Tyler Johnson, guys?
I know. And for that matter, who thought that they would really need a Kyle Rudolph as much as in theory they need him? I mean, they're lacking at wide receiver and tight end. Who thought that would ever be the case?
Right, exactly. And yes, Kyle Rudolph is one of those guys. Got to get healthy, got to step up.
Roy Cummings covers the Bucs, PewterPirates.com, Bay News 9. And now we've added, after 15 years, we didn't know. Now, going forward, we'll cover the Bucs and get our book of the week from Roy Cummings here on Miller and Moulton. Roy, have a great weekend.
Same to you guys. Thanks for having me.
Roy's kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. I wished everybody could see the Twitch setup that we had. That was a very impressive looking office.
It really was. It looked like we had a little, like you said, History Channel. Very dignified there.
Yes.
Not the level of this show up.
And it's a little humbling. I mean, he had it well over 100 books behind him. It just in the one bookcase. And he said he's read all but 6 or 8 of them. How many of you as adults have read 100 books? Raise your hand. That's what I thought.
You're hearing me bury both hands under the ground right now. Undaunted Courage, by the way, was his book of the week, just in case you were wondering. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. We'll do our Clutch Vodka play of the day. It's coming up next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. David, in the last 2 Thursday night football games, 41 drives, 20 punts, 8 field goals, 5 turnovers.
41 drives.
20 punts, 8 field goals, 5 turnovers.
2 touchdowns.
That's Thursday night football in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, you guys, I love every day we're getting a few of you back. Wolfpack, welcome back.
I am glad, Mello, not to be working the Thursday night games. My travel schedule's so much better this year. It feels it. Even though it's only, quote unquote, 1 day a week, it feels so much easier. Also, it wore me out doing 3 games a week. Well, first off, you should be taking the under the whole year to this point, and definitely in prime time games. Monday night was the aberration. I believe it's over 70% under so far in primetime games.
Man, Justin Fields was getting tossed around yesterday.
Yeah, late in the first half, man, he got pounded.
Not a good look for the NFL. Sloppy play and a bunch of people getting injured. Tough watch.
Don't know if you can do anything about the injuries.
True. Curious to see what society will think about football in 50 years.
Yes, it is Heidi's dad. They opened on.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Chris Landry of Landry Football, LandryFootball.com, will join us in a little less than 20 minutes. We'll go through the big college games of the day. Speaking of which, a couple of the big ones, the focus of our poll question, which 7-point underdog do you think has the best chance to win? Tennessee at home against Alabama, Penn State on the road against Michigan. It's our poll question. 2 times I looked at it, Mark, it was pretty close. In the 54-46, 53-47 range.
It stayed right there throughout.
Got to admit, it's a good question.
Who do you give the better shot to?
Tennessee, close. 2 reasons. A, they're at home. B, Bryce Young, 70%, in my estimation. So that's why I think they've got the better shot. I do think it will turn out to have been a good experience for Penn State to have already gone to Auburn this year. You know, this group, a younger group at a lot of key positions. I mean, the Plains were rocking that day. You know, they don't normally get an out-of-conference opponent of that stature to come to the Plains. So they were really fired up in Auburn to have somebody of, you know, Penn State's, you know, tradition and legacy come to them. And the place was rocking till mid-third quarter, and Penn State handled it just fine, thank you.
It'll be louder in Auburn than it was in the Big House. The Big House isn't loud unless they really get after it. And it's a noon game. It's not the normal Michigan crowd to yell and scream for 3 hours. That's just not what they are. And the sound's different there. The way that stadium's built, the sound just kind of leaves the stadium. It's not even really as much of a knock on Michigan fans as it is the way the building is built.
Fox's big noon kickoff is in Ann Arbor, although Clay Travis, I believe, will be doing live updates throughout big noon from Knoxville on the show. Meanwhile, Game Day live in Knoxville. After having not been there for 5 years, they're now there 2 times out of their last 4 shows.
How many times? I mean, are they going to have to follow Alabama around a little bit if Ole Miss wins and we got another undefeated matchup with Alabama and Ole Miss coming up here?
Well, I got to believe if Penn State pulls the upset, they'll be in State College in 2 weeks when Ohio State comes to town. So that'll make the decision real easy for them. You know, next week's usually a soft week college football schedule-wise. I haven't looked ahead, but I know it is in the SEC.
It is. It is. If Mississippi State were to win, they'd be taking on Alabama. You know, you are right. It's a pretty soft week. I would think it's possible if Oklahoma State wins and remains undefeated, they host Texas.
There you go. They go to Stillwater. Yeah, I'd like that.
Somewhere they're not at have not been at very often.
Right. You know, once again, pretending as if they care about the Big 12. No doubt. Sure. Give the appearance. It's kind of like the NFL giving the impression they care about player safety. I mean, that's really what the home destination means for game day at this point. You know, just trying to keep appearances up, that there's a conference out there besides the SEC. I mean, that's really what game day is all about now.
Yeah, isn't next week usually the week, that off week that they try to, like, I look, James Madison's home and they're undefeated, but they play Marshall, so I don't think they would make that trip. But next week's the week when they find the North Dakota States of the world and try to, but I think Stillwater, if they win this week, I think that's where they'll be a week from now.
I know they don't like to go out west because the show starts at 6 a.m. local time. And, the kids try to, do their best effort and what have you. But, I mean, come on, 6 a.m. I mean, they only got – and if they've got energy at 6 a.m., they don't have it at 7 a.m. I mean, that early adrenaline rush. So the shows out west are usually not what the shows are in the Eastern and Central time zones. But I'm wondering, I mean, you've got, as of now, knock on wood, you got 2 undefeateds out west. And there's a part of me, Mark, that would love to see USC win Saturday. 3rd Saturday in November, USC UCLA. We're talking about how Tennessee, Alabama, first time since '89 that both have been undefeated when they played. I think you'd have to go back to '88, the last time USC and UCLA were undefeated when they played each other. I mean, it's a huge Big Ten matchup. I mean, Mark, I would expect Fox to have their pregame show there if that's the case. I mean, don't you have to, tongue-in-cheek?
Yeah, Big Ten Network thought they were getting that game. But UCLA is a little better than we thought, and they lost the rights to it, apparently. I can't wait for the Big Ten Network to air UCLA basketball at 10:30 at night.
I can't wait for them to start running on the Big Ten Network all the John Wooden highlight reel shows and claiming UCLA is, Big Ten basketball.
We still haven't heard from Walton, have we?
No, we have not.
I mean, there's a chance he's still on a prolonged acid trip and doesn't even know that it's happened.
There's a very good chance of that, actually.
But when he finds out, he's going to be honked.
He really is. What does he do with the Conference of Champions?
He is going to say it so much this year, you will not be able to believe it.
I'll be curious.
It'll be like Rocky Top at a Tennessee win.
I'll bet you he's really unhappy with his alma mater. That's the other thing. I'm waiting for Bill Walton, for Big Red, to take him on and say this is a mistake. This is an outrage. That's what I'm waiting for.
You've got to think so. Nobody pined harder for the Conference of Champions than Walton. So I've been waiting for it since the announcement, and he's been in hiding. But we got to switch gears.
He's on a bender. He's not in hiding. He's on a bender.
I think it's the last summer at Dead & Company, so maybe that's where he is. Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. We had to move it an hour for Lee Sterling on Fridays. Felipe's new segment. He's in charge. He's trying to redeem himself from a first hour air. Can he do it? Felipe, what do we got?
Yeah, amazing story from Washington. Brian Robinson, Commanders running back 1, was shot 49 days ago, and he scored his first touchdown of his NFL career last night.
2nd and goal. Robinson, and he will get into the end zone for a touchdown. So 2 months ago, the kid is wondering, can he play again after he was shot twice in a carjacking attempt? And here he is in Soldier Field, taking it into the end zone.
Great story.
Absolutely.
First of hopefully many touchdowns in his career.
That's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K. A reminder, Clutch Vodka will be at the Seaside Bar in Bonita Springs for a Dolphins watch party. You'll need to go watch it there if you're living in Southwest Florida, because the game will not be aired locally. If you want to check out that great Bloody Mary bar, the great food and drink specials, and everything going on at Seaside with the Clutch Vodka Dolphins watch parties every Sunday at Seaside.
Miller and Moulton. Chris Landry coming up. We'll go through the college games. We'll make our NFL picks. It will be in the bonus hour for those of you that don't get our 9 o'clock hour. Well, we podcast it. FloridaSportsNetwork.com, MillerandMoulton.com. Well, we put it up there shortly after the show, usually. So there you have it.
But Chris, who studies the film, former coach, former scout, We sent the text off yesterday, say we have a lot of games to get to. We'll probably go a little more rapid fire than we've done because there are so many big games, but we'll get to all of the matchups of ranked teams as well as the Florida games with Florida State and Clemson and Florida, LSU, and the Canes and Va Tech. All coming up with Chris Landry on the other side. We thank you so very much for listening to Miller and Moulton. Where else but right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Adam, by the way, if you're still in here, I will say as far as Babcock Ranch goes, there was nothing there that good morning, Chris.
Morning.
There was nothing there before. It's basically all farmland that they built that neighborhood on. So none of the water is going into older neighborhoods, which was the point that you made. It's quite impressive what Babcock Ranch is, really and truly.
By the way, Mark, I'm headed, and I don't mean you, Miller, Mark Till and Twitch. I'm headed to Knoxville and then Los Angeles. Broncos, Chargers. I'll be curious how many empty seats there are at SoFi. Chris, how's it going?
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good.
Weather been okay lately?
We're back to normal Florida weather where it's raining every day again.
Yeah.
But, you know, enough people. I mean, there's still people without power. I mean, we still have people that are listening saying they're just getting it back, but we're like in the 90 percentiles of people having power back. So
Yeah.
now it's just rebuild time.
Yeah. There's a boatload of people on the news here. A boatload of people from Louisiana were heading on over there once the storm is gone. They got that Cajun Navy group, and God knows we've been through it enough. We know. I said
Right.
we're going over there to we're skilled at this. We know what to do. So
You guys are between the Panhandle and Louisiana. You've taken a lot more of these than we have. That's for sure.
yeah, the floodwaters are the thing that you just don't realize until you've seen it and go through it. That's it. And then I'm sure there's just tons of debris in front of everybody's houses and everything. It's
All
just
that and the signs, Chris, from the wind. I mean, just stop signs that are.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it literally could take 6 months just to straighten every damn sign.
Easy. Like I said, we had a flood here last year in a storm that wasn't quite what y'all had, and they're still doing stuff, and it's over a year now.
Yep.
Just
I heard someone say 10 years of construction on Fort Myers Beach.
Oh, I mean, because you got to consider how much needs to be done. You can get every construction person in the world to stop what they're doing and go to Florida, and it would still take them a long time. And you can't. You got to weed through all the bureaucratic red tape with insurance. It's truly a disaster.
Those insurance villages are impressive. I went down to one of the food banks. My daughter, I wanted to bring her down so she could kind of see it because we're in our little bubble where everything was okay. And we went down to one of the food banks and dropped off some stuff and passed one of the insurance villages. It actually is pretty impressive. I mean, it's like a city block with every damn insurance company you've ever heard of and some you haven't, all there. And they got Elon Musk to dedicate those Skylink things, so they've got internet there. It's pretty impressive what they've done in a short time.
30 seconds.
Very quickly. It's funny. Mello and Hops, I didn't take what Troy said as an apology. He didn't say anything until he did his normal Thursday interview on a Dallas station. He was asked about his comment, and he said, well, it wasn't the smartest thing I ever said.
Here we go.
That was all he said. I didn't take it as an apology, but maybe it is.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. And in the third hour of Miller and Moulton on a Friday, that means Chris Landry from LandryFootball.com, LandryFootball.com. And you can follow Chris on Twitter at Landry Football. Former coach, scout, administrator. He's an advisor to many pro and college programs now. Chris, top of the morning to you there in the Bayou. How are you?
Top of the morning to you guys. I am getting ready. I'm doing well, and going to be doing even better tomorrow. It is an exciting Saturday. I mean, I know they're always good, but this has some intriguing matchups. It's that time of year that's going to tell us a lot about a lot.
Well, let's start right at noon with Penn State and Michigan, because there are two teams that we don't know a lot about based on who they've played. Maryland gave Michigan a little bit of trouble. Maryland looks like they're a pretty decent football team, though. Penn State went down to Auburn and had a nice win. But this is time for put up or shut up between Penn State and Michigan.
Yeah, just studying both of these teams, Maryland is very good offensively. I think Michigan's a little better defensively than Penn State. Penn State's got more explosive playmaking ability, speed. So it is going to be interesting. Quarterback play is going to be important. Penn State's got two outstanding running backs. The offensive line's played very well. And Sean Clifford, as a result, has not just with that advent of having that production with him, he's been long enough in that system to where he's making better decisions. He has made big mistakes in games like this. He hadn't really had a game like this year. The one game early in the year, Purdue, they were fortunate to win that game. Purdue's not a bad team at all. So, yeah, we're going to learn a lot about these two teams, not just who's going to win it and how they stack up, but I think we're going to learn a lot about how good they are in certain aspects of their team.
Could I argue that Penn State's a little more tested, especially on the road? First game of the year at Purdue, wasn't the easiest situation, particularly week 1. Then week 3, Auburn is not a good team, but the environment was raucous. Mark, who's from Michigan, said, listen, the environment at Auburn is actually going to be more intense than the environment they're probably going to face in the Big House. Do you think Penn State's been a little more tested this season?
Maybe a little, because I don't think I think that in the environment, going on the road and playing a raucous stadium, absolutely you would put that in there. But you hit it. This Auburn team can't score. So here's my belief on crowds and how it affects. It's all relative to how good you are. I mean, I coached at LSU, for example, and there's no place like Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night, toughest place. Well, yeah, except when Miami came in one year with Jimmy Johnson and kicked our rear end all over them. It wasn't too good then when we were the better team. Yet, when we're the better team, I think that's when it matters. I think the crowd factor is maybe overrated in most cases. I think it's how good you are. And so we'll see how it plays out. In fact, I think home field advantage is, it's important. But I think the better team, and I think we don't know who the better team is, and I think it's close, and maybe home field might be the difference. But yeah, Penn State's been a little bit more tested in crowd environments.
Oklahoma State and TCU, both undefeated, Big 12 game. They want to stay relevant for the playoff picture. One of them has to win. Who's the better team in this game, Chris?
Well, Oklahoma State's a little more well-rounded. They don't defend the pass game real well. That's not good going into, but their defense is a little better than TCU overall. They've got good balance on offense. They can run it. They can throw it. I would give TCU's quarterback, Mac Duggan, an advantage. I'd give the passing game of TCU a better advantage. It's likely going to be a shootout game. I do think Oklahoma State's a little bit more prepared to come up with stops situationally. Defensively, they go into lulls. And, even again, their early game, I hate to look at first games of the year because they're not necessarily all that indicative. But, they had a huge lead over Central Michigan, went into a little funk, and then they gave up some points. Oklahoma State looks to be a little bit more complete, but we're not talking about a lot. And this TCU team is really good. I think those two teams and Texas with Quinn Ewers are the teams that look right now to be the best of a Big 12 that, quite frankly, doesn't have an elite team and doesn't have a bad team. And I think you saw that last night with West Virginia. Oklahoma's awfully bad, but they're not bad like the last teams in other leagues bad.
Could this just be a matchup thing? Like, you think Oklahoma State is the little deeper, more well-rounded team, but if it's their pass defense against Sonny Dykes with a competent quarterback, could this just not be the best matchup for Oklahoma State?
Well, I don't think it's a good matchup for the defenses because I think these offenses are going to score, and I absolutely think that TCU is going to score a bunch of points. And here's the thing I think for Oklahoma State. Defensively, you've got to be prepared for Max Duggan to run the football. He can run it when all things are, broken down and you get man coverage looks across, and he'll just take off and run and pick up a big play. So you got to defend that a little bit more than you have to do it with Oklahoma State, in my view. But yeah, I think Oklahoma State's a little bit more well-rounded overall. I think they played a little bit more different styles of teams. They played teams that are a little bit better running the football, a little bit better throwing it. They overcame Texas Tech, who's so they, speaking of tested, a little bit more tested, but there's not much that separates these two teams. Who has the ball last? I think there's going to be a lot of scoring here.
68's the over-under, and if you're listening to that, he's probably talking about an over in that game. Is USC good enough to go on the road? That defense is bad. Are they good enough to go on the road and beat Utah? Utah's given up a lot of points. They gave them up to Florida. They gave them up last week to UCLA. So USC shouldn't have a problem scoring, but will they be able to defend?
Utah is a little different this year. They're, I think they're, over the past several years, the best developmental program in college football. And that's, there's a lot of good developmental programs. They're not as good defensively, but they are an unusual team in that they're completely different at home. So let's just take last week. UCLA, which, by the way, on film, looks a little better than anybody in the Pac-12 right now. Now, is it sustainable? We'll see. They did a good job on Utah. Utah at home is, we talk about home field advantages in the Pac-12. There's not a lot of them. Autzen can be tough. This is Rice Eccles is big. I mean, this is I think a different type of matchup. USC has been good rushing the passer. They don't defend the run. Utah's going to make them defend the run. Utah's going to run, and run. And it's going to be up to USC's offense to get some early points to take Utah out of the run game. If they don't, this could be an upset here, because I think this one will be a little closer than the one last week in the Rose Bowl.
Utah actually a 3.5-point favorite. UCLA got 2 defensive scores last week. I wonder if that maybe just alters the outlook a little bit. All right. Knoxville at 3:30 Eastern. Been over 30 years since these two teams have met on the third Saturday in October, in which they've both been undefeated. This is the first time Tennessee's had a donut this late in the season since they won the national title in '98. We know Bryce Young's going to play, because otherwise the point spread would be a pick 'em. All right, but we know he's also not going to be 100%. How do you like Alabama at Tennessee?
Probably better than most people. It seems like Tennessee is the 7-point underdog favorite. I mean, it's like, that's the chic pick. If you look at big picture theory, Tennessee's got the pressure on them, because they're like, in the eyes of a lot of the public, they should win, or are supposed to win, or got certainly the best chance to win. In these type of games, I looked it up. Alabama, when they're like a 10-point favorite or less, they average winning the game by like 21, 22 points. 21 and a half, I think it comes out to. They win by 17, they win by 28, they win by 24. This is the type of game where I expect Alabama to clean it up. Look, there's no doubt that performance last week had everything to do with the sloppy play by Alabama. They can't turn it over 3 times in the first half and have 2 unsportsmanlike penalties and beat Tennessee. No way. But if they play a clean game last week, they win that game against A&M 17, 24 points. I mean, that game was not going to be close in that if you play a clean game. I expect Alabama's best game, and that means a clean game. And I think that's the difference. Look, I think Bryce Young makes a huge difference. It's made Tennessee prepare for both the offense that they're going to see with Bryce Young and with Jalen Milroe. Look, I think Alabama can win this game with Jalen Milroe at quarterback if they don't turn it over. Tennessee doesn't defend the run game. The issue is, if Tennessee gets a lead and you make mistakes like LSU did last week, then it takes you out of the run game, and then you're playing their game. So I think it depends upon the styles. Both teams have a different path to victory, but not saying you guys are, but a lot of people are counting Alabama out. I'd be very careful of that. I think that Alabama's got a great chance to win it, and I'm not going to be surprised if Tennessee wins it, but I expect Alabama to win it.
Do you think that Alabama's going to try to force Tennessee to run the ball? Do you think without Hooker that they will be able to run the ball against them? We know what the quarterback can do, but can they run the ball against Alabama?
Tennessee runs out of spread, out of tempo, so they're going to do that. The whole problem that Tennessee gives Alabama is that getting lined up. This is a complex defense that Alabama runs, so they have to adjust their check system. It has to be quicker so you can get cleats in the ground and go at the snap. And that's the biggest adjustment they need to make. The corners can be tested. I mean, I think Alabama's corners are vulnerable compared to what they normally are. The safety's really good. Yeah, I think Tennessee can run it. They can run it with tempo. Can they run it well enough? And can they block the edge rushers well enough? Because what Alabama's going to do is, as Tennessee runs tempo, they run basically an RPO, a zone read system. So that mesh point, when they put that ball in the belly of the back, Alabama's going to try to crash that mesh point and try to force the decisions quicker. So we'll see. If you look at the game last year, Tennessee was in it. I think Tennessee will be again this year. In it again this year. Last year, they got a touchdown on Alabama. Alabama's making a check, and they snap the ball. And it's those type of things that Alabama can't have, and they also can't have the turnover. So I'm looking at it simply, if they play a cleaner game, that's how I see it. If they don't play a clean game, Heck, Tennessee could win and win going away. It's just, to me, I don't anticipate Alabama making the same mistakes because some of those fumbles were unforced errors with not covering the pressure points on the ball. I think they're going to get that cleaned up with Milroe if he plays and when he plays.
All right, and we're pressed for time here. Remember, Florida had 3 blown assignments against Tennessee, in which they basically gifted them 3 touchdowns because of it. All right, Florida LSU is a very low number. LSU on the road in the Swamp, only getting 2.5. Who do you like in the game?
You know, I'm not crazy about how either team is playing. LSU looks to be the better team when they're playing their A game. Florida is more consistent. So it really, to me, is about LSU. How much they're able to clean things up. You know, LSU didn't run the football very well. They made tons of mistakes on special teams. That's a killer. Florida's going to play a cleaner game. And so if LSU plays sloppy, Florida can force some turnovers. I expect them to win at home. But I do think LSU's best game is better, meaning if they play cleaner, they can get the running game going a little bit. I think LSU's defense is a little bit better. So I think this is a big game, and this is the great about college football. It's a big game because 5-2 and 4-3 is a huge difference for both of these teams right now.
No doubt, and for their fan bases as well. All right, we got less than 2 minutes. Florida State and Clemson. The line's 3.5. It shocks both of us. We think Clemson's a lot better than that.
Yeah, and here's the problem with Florida State is being able to finish in the red zone. I mean, I know that had to be frustrating last week because, that's a game that you got NC State, down quarterbacks. They can't score. They can't throw. They won't even try to throw, and you can't win that game. That was tough. How you respond from that, going up against a Clemson team that's certainly in better position to get some points. I just don't think Florida State can score enough. I think they're going to play free. I think they're going to have some chances here, but I just can't trust them right now in the red zone.
All right, 10 seconds. There a game you really like? Give us a pick.
I'm really intrigued by Utah USC, which we've talked about. That's a lot of fun. And the other game I'm very intrigued by is Minnesota Illinois. I really like this game, and I like Minnesota off the bye week, and that's a big fun, bully ball, Big Ten West type of game. You got Purdue waiting for the 2 bullies there. So I think Minnesota, Illinois is going to be – they're going up against Penn State, Michigan, but obviously I'll be watching and monitoring all of them there.
He's Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com, LandryFootball.com. Football however you want it, in small bites or in a buffet. And follow him on Twitter at Landry Football. Chris, thanks again. All the best. Enjoy the weekend.
Be well. Enjoy the games. Safe travels.
Chris Landry, kind enough to join us once again on a Friday edition of Miller and Moulton.
That is some nitty-gritty football talk. We went through all the college games there. We will go through the NFL games next. Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte. We thank you for listening this week. We will do it all over again starting on Monday. For those of you in the 239, the bonus hour is next. Join us at twitch.com/Miller and Moulton for the bonus hour on the Florida Sports Network.
Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. There are 7 home dogs this week in the NFL.
There's been a lot of that this year.
Ten seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Football Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when. Big day in sports. Big anniversary. Very noteworthy. We'll tell you all about it coming up in around 40 minutes' time.
The magic number is now 4.
What, days to the start of the NBA season?
Yeah, there you go. Now we got some juice. Oh, it's October. This is the best time of the year.
It is a great sports month. There's no doubt about it. Hockey and basketball get underway. You got all 4 of them at the same time. Oh, yeah. It's awesome. NASCAR playoffs even.
Next Thursday will be the sports equinox. That's when you got all 4. You got hockey, you got basketball, you got baseball, and you got football.
Gotcha.
If you say so.
Miller and Moulton. But we've got football right now. And hopefully the NFL weekend can match what we expect the college weekend to be. Hope the college weekend delivers.
With 7 home dogs, I think it will in the NFL, David.
Okay.
Well, let's start right out with the Vikings and the Dolphins. Do you give the Dolphins any shot with Skylar Thompson playing quarterback?
Yes. The fact that he played essentially the whole game last week, I think was very beneficial. Listen, sometimes, Mark, things don't make sense in the NFL, but sometimes you just look at a team and you go, I mean, are the Vikings really a 5-1 team? And we think highly of the Dolphins, and we know they've had injuries, and obviously, I mean, their quarterback situation in the last couple of weeks. But, I mean, are the Dolphins a 3-3 team, or are they a 4-2 team? And so there's a part of me that just thinks that the water has to settle in this game, if you know what I mean. That I know Minnesota's a justifiable favorite, and the matchups favor the Vikings. On paper, they should win and they should cover. But, Mark, I just think the Vikings are a 4-2 team more than a 5-1 team, and the Dolphins are a 4-2 team more than a 500 team. So I'm going to take the Dolphins in an upset.
I can't argue with picking upsets in the league because there will be some, and you've got to stick your neck out there and figure out which ones you think that they are. I do think picking an upset with a third-string quarterback in a game is a tough spot to pick an upset. I think the Howard injury is obviously a big one, or not being 100% healthy to having to take on one of the league's best receivers. And what happened to the Dolphins defense, I expect a better performance, but I just think Minnesota can come at you a lot of different ways. I think they're a good football team. I do.
I do too.
Their only losses to the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles.
Listen, you and I both had them in the playoffs. We both thought they would challenge the Packers this year. I just don't know if they're a 5-1 team.
I say they are. I say they get it done. Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh. Is there any reason why you think the Pittsburgh Steelers will win this football game?
Not unless Tampa gives it to them.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say, the Bucs offensively can be very one-dimensional. That defense is pretty good. It's not nearly as good without TJ Watt. But there is a part of me, Mark, that is concerned, okay, that if Tampa Bay is 50 passes again this week, that's the wrong defense to do it against. You can get away with 52 attempts against the Falcons. I don't know if you can get away with that against Pittsburgh. but Tampa clearly has to lose this game.
Agreed. New England is at Cleveland. The Browns are a 3-point favorite. New England coming off of a dismantling of the Lions.
Love the Patriots in this game. Should have picked them, in fact. All right. And by the way, I like the Patriots quarterback more than the Browns quarterback. Yes, I said it. I like the third string Bailey Zappi more than I like Jacoby Brissett. The Browns defensively, by the way, have got issues. Second year in a row, they can't stop the run. That's on the GM. He had $48 million to spend on opening day. You couldn't secure the run defense? It was your biggest problem last year. What the heck are you doing? Seriously, general manager of the Browns, what are you doing?
And we talked about this in August over and over and over again. Why aren't they getting Sue? Why weren't they looking at a JPP? Why weren't they trying to figure out something with that defense? And they never did. I wrote down my first 6 picks before we even started, David. I had New England written down as well. I think that their ability to run the ball, which they do really well, and their ability to take away your best attribute, which they're going to do their damnedest to slow down the Cleveland run game and put the game in Jacoby Brissett's hands, and that's not a good appetite for me. I'll take New England in this game.
Other thing, I'm sorry, very quickly, Mark, we talked about this when the season started, and we knew it was a bad break for Cleveland that they didn't have their number one quarterback, but their early schedule was really soft. Their second half schedule was hard. They're 2-3. And you commented they could easily be 5-0. They also could be 1-4. The kicker made a 59-yarder to beat Carolina at the gun. I mean, they've left too much, I believe, already on the table to make the playoffs.
San Francisco and Atlanta, I will ask you the same question I really did with the Bucs and Steelers. Do you give the Falcons any shot at winning this football game?
I guess if they can run it the way they've run it before. But
Niners defense is a little banged up.
Yes, but the thing is they're facing Jimmy G as opposed to Trey Lance. So I feel confident in what I'm getting now week in, week out from the Niners offense. And I think they win.
David, this is, to me, one of the biggest games at 1 o'clock. And they're both 2-3. But 2-4 and 3-3 is a hell of a big difference. Cincinnati at New Orleans.
Bengals a road favorite. Remember when they were a road favorite going to Dallas in week 2, and that didn't work out very well. I think it's going to be Andy Dalton, which I believe gives New Orleans this week a better chance to win because Jameis is still not 100%. He hasn't had a full practice yet. I'm going to go New Orleans. They can rush the passer since he's offensive line. I know it's been better, but Joe Burrow, by the way, a homecoming. Joe Burrow back in the Dome where he won the national title, back in Louisiana. Give me the Saints.
I love the Bengals in this game. I think that Cincinnati is starting to find themselves, and I think here's the opportunity we're going to see Cincinnati, after a really tough loss last week, right the ship. New Orleans will have to they offensively have been challenged, and that's because of the quarterback position. They've got talent. They've got Kamara. They've got the receivers, but they don't have a quarterback, and I don't know who's going to play, and I don't think it matters. Give me the Bengals in this game. All right, your Giants are hosting the Ravens. The Giants are the 4-1 team.
I know. Once again, a 4-1, 3-2 matchup in which the 3-2 team's the better team. They are also a 5.5-point favorite. Lamar, I believe, has never lost to an NFC team.
That's correct.
Okay. The Giants, what conference are they in?
NFC.
Okay. Give me the Ravens.
That's a ridiculous stat, by the way. The fact that Lamar has never lost to an NFC team.
He's either 12-0 or 13-0 against the NFC.
That's ridiculous.
And he runs for big numbers in those games.
Now, the thought is the Giants may have a better advantage than most NFC teams because their defensive coordinator spent the last 3-4 years as defensive coordinator of the Ravens. So he went against Lamar all the time in practice. Baltimore's got the better roster. They got the better quarterback. I like the Ravens.
Jets and Packers. The Packers are a 7.5-point favorite. Do you think the Packers are good enough to be a 7.5-point favorite against anybody right now?
No, but Rodgers' history, when he loses a game and then comes back the next week, they win by an average of like 17 points. And I think that's why the line is what the line is. Also think the Jets' defense can be taken advantage of. And is this a breakout game for Rodgers and the offense? Can they get to 30? Because they may actually give up 20 or so to the Jets. Can they get to 30? Packers win.
You already picked the Colts in our Fantastic Five earlier in the show. David, the Jags sweep.
Whoa, look at you.
The Jags sweep. I think Indianapolis is a mess. Ryan's not very good. And pressure's now been put on Lawrence of what he can do. They're going to be able to run the football a little bit more, get Kirk involved in the offense. I like the Jags to win this game. Arizona, as we get to the afternoon games, the late afternoon games, rather, Arizona is at Seattle. Arizona, a 2.5-point favorite on the road. There's another team. I don't know if Arizona deserves to be favored against anybody, David.
Right now, listen, this sounds ridiculous, but based on their play this year, who's been a better quarterback, Geno Smith or Kyler Murray? And because of it, give me the home dog Seahawks.
I am with you 100%. They have been the better team this year. Records are identical, but I think Seattle's been the better team. Rams are a 10-point favorite against Carolina. No Baker, their new coach. I'll obviously take the Rams. It's too big of a number. It's just a matter of whether or not they cover.
Well, believe it or not, some people in Carolina think P.J. Walker might be the best quarterback of the three anyway. I think the Rams win, but they don't cover.
Bills and Chiefs.
Huge revenge game, right? But then again, Mahomes has never been a home dog before. I'm going to take the Chiefs. Until that Bills defense in a big spot can deliver. And can they run the ball with somebody not named Josh Allen?
I'm taking the Bills in the revenge factor. Can't wait to watch it. I just think at the end of the day, the Bills get their revenge from and win a close one, which is another big key for the Bills. Sunday night, Cowboys and Eagles. I think the Eagles keep on keeping on. I don't care who the quarterback is for Dallas.
I think it's tough to beat the Eagles if you're only one-dimensional on offense, and I think that's where the Cowboys are right now. The passing game I don't think is good enough. The defense will be terrific, but I could see this being 16-10 Philly.
So there are our picks. We'll talk about Monday night on Monday night when the Broncos take on the Chargers. David, of course, will be in Los Angeles for that one, part of the ESPN broadcast team, if you will.
Boy, that's taking great liberties with that word team.
It's a big team. You're all part of the team that we only see a couple of guys.
Well, no, it's true. It's a huge team. It's over 100 people. I mean, it's Joe and Troy and Lisa Salters, but I mean, it's 100 people.
So you guys are really more of a college football team in the 70s, a really good one, than you are an NFL team with that big roster.
Correct. Right. Yes. There are a lot of us being kept away from the Purdues of the world. Correct.
Miller and Moulton, we thank you for listening. Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Oh, he doesn't have his headset on, so he's no use. David, what's your anniversary?
Game 7, Pirates Braves, 92, Sid Bream. 30 years ago today.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I've actually got it.
And if you think about it, and the Sporting News wrote a terrific piece, which is online, in which they said it's, the night the Pirates died.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, they've had like 5 winning seasons since.
Right. And if anybody else was on base, it wasn't even a play.
No.
The only reason this is a play is that the slowest guy on the Braves roster is rounding third.
I actually think Bonds, with being left-handed, going to his right, I actually think he makes a hell of a play to get to the ball as quickly as he did, fields it cleanly, going to his wrong side, and then makes a throw that is almost perfect. His last play as a Pirate. I thought he...
I got to watch it now.
I just said, look.
I'd like to have some...
Sean McDonough's voice cracks.
Always cracks.
But we didn't know that at the time.
Line drive and a base hit. Just as the score of the tying run. Bream to the plate. And he is saved. Saved at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
the unlikeliest of heroes, wins the National League Championship Series for the Atlanta Braves. Francisco Cabrera, and Atlanta pulls out Game 7 with 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning.
I always think of when Sean McDonough's voice cracks, the Monday Night Football call that he had, Titans at Chiefs, where
I think of the Michigan State block punt.
oh that too. Oh yeah, here it is. Eric Johnson, all-time tackle leader for the Chiefs.
It was Yinzer. You're right.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this largely football Friday, although you got 3 baseball playoff games today. Yankees and Guardians, a makeup. They didn't get game 2 in yesterday because of rain. 1, 4:30, and 8:30, baby. I mean, you know, if you're into that sort of thing, you got a full day.
I'm going to tee it up today and listen to baseball in the cart.
Okay.
That is trying to become 75 years old instantaneously right there. Playing golf while listening to baseball. I think at the turn, I get my ARP card.
Well, you've been eligible for a couple years now. You just haven't taken advantage of any of the discounts. You and I both, right? Because I have not signed up for AARP, and I'll be 57 in 2 months.
Don't know if I'll ever sign up for it.
I'm right with you. I'm right with you. By the way, what stubborn mules are we? All right.
So I can get 10% off somewhere? What the hell?
Well, Mark, I mean, if you think about it, when do we refuse a discount anywhere, anything else? But damn it, it's from a group that says we're old. So I'm not taking it from them. If they change their name, if they could like con us and that AARP becomes, oh, I don't know, change it to middle-aged, even though none of us are middle-aged unless we're planning on living into our 100s. But just, you know, go with me here. If they change their name, I think people like you and I would go, wow, you know, I can sign up for this and get 10 to 15% off everything. When they ask you in the restaurant, okay, are you a certain age for the discount? Will you, because you're a couple years away from that, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You refuse the discount from AARP.
Well, don't you have to pay for that card, though? I mean, you got to pay for that.
Oh, come on. It's like Sirius XM. I mean, you know, you say no long enough, you get them to pay for it and give you a couple years on the back end of it. I mean, come on.
I got you.
I mean, they just want to be able to send us the literature in the mail, you know, for all the other people are paying for it. You know, the insurance companies and the crematoriums and all that.
I mean, there is a cost, though.
Yeah, but I will say, I mean, you get like 15% off everything. Everything.
If you say so.
So the food discount you're going to take in a couple of years.
If they ask me, how old are you? I will not lie and say that I'm under the age that I am.
Okay, now that's a specific question. How old are you? What if the young hostess looks at you and says, are you a senior?
Yes. Very much so.
Okay. All right. But no on the AARP card. By the way, for the record, I'm totally with you here. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I know.
Right. No, I'll take $2 off the buffet. Absolutely, I will. The AARP card? Hell no. I'll have 19 other cards in my wallet. Yes, wallet. Okay, but I will not have that. You would think since I have a wallet, I would have that, but I don't.
How is the wallet these days? Been able to keep track of it?
It's not bad. Although, you know what? For whatever reason, I'm not throwing out my valet ticket stubs when I'm on the road.
You are George Costanza with that wallet. And
So-
you can't help it. You've tried. What's great is that you've acknowledged that you are.
Yes.
You've tried to stop doing it, and inevitably you cannot stop.
Right. For whatever reason, I return my hotel keys, but I still need the valet card when I go back outside to get the car. All right. And for whatever reason, because you never really hand in your valet card, you just show it. They look at your number, they go get your car or your car keys. And for whatever reason, I end up with it. Why I don't throw it out, I don't know. So if somebody wants to park their car at the Lowe's in Kansas City, I got a card for you right here. I can
ESPN will
send
pick it
to
up and everything.
They really will. I probably shouldn't say this out loud. So apparently they don't pay for parking. They pay for the room, all right, but they don't pay for parking. And I look right at the receptionist every time when they say, could you present a credit card for incidentals? And I go, well, they're taking care of parking, right? And she goes, well, it's not what it says here. And I look right at them and go, yeah, parking's on them. And for the record, I'm batting 1,000 so far this year.
Good for you. It's dangerous, though, because you could end up with them catching it at the end of the year and then saying Moulton owes
No doubt.
X.
No doubt. I'm waiting for Jody at one point. She's the production manager. She hands me the credentials every Monday morning. I'm waiting for her to hand me my credentials with a bill that says you owe us $525 in parking. I will say, man, these hotels, $30, $35 a night. Valet the car.
That's what happens when you escape the inn and suites, David, and start staying at some of the hotels you're staying at.
Apparently so. I mean, I have no idea. Wait a minute. First off, I'm in a hotel with a valet. Whew, what's that all about? And secondly, I'm sorry, how much for parking? I won't even pay $15 to go see the Blades. $10 to go see the Muscles. You want what? $35 to park my car? Not even using it for the next day and a half.
For the Blades game, is it acceptable to park at the Jersey Mike's and just walk?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I feel like that's what, come on now. That's what we should all be doing.
It is the one thing that and it's where I am ultra cheap. As a member of the media, I won't pay for parking. When I go there, I simply show them a business card and I'm here covering the game.
Oh my gosh, I did the same thing for the Dolphins preseason game. I just said I was a member of the media. They go, oh, okay, right this way.
Now, that's shocking at a Dolphins game because you usually have to have actual credentials.
Now, preseason Dolphins. So maybe they gave less of a, you know what?
It was probably so hot outside, they just wanted to just move you through.
Oh, it was blazing hot outside.
And you can't even, now the Blades games, you can't even use cash anymore to park, right?
Oh,
yeah, I think you're right.
Totally messing me up. I know. I'm going to be the last guy on earth standing there going, when is cash making a comeback?
It's not.
You would think with all the online theft going on that it would. Please, I was at, what airport was I at the other day? I think it was in Charlotte. All right. And the lady at the counter, she's like, we don't take cash. I'm like, you don't take cash at an airport? No offense. You got to have a huge ass neon sign when we're walking down this corridor. We don't have a lot of time here. I wait in line, 17th in line. I get to the front, no cash. Then she says, oh, by the way, our chip thing's not working. Well, wait a minute. So you can't take my credit cards and I can't use cash.
You need me to type these numbers out here? Ma'am, how's this going to work today?
So I think it was the gods telling me, you probably didn't need that turkey and cheese on wheat.
But the ballparks aren't taking cash. Use a credit card to park. The problem is, David, is that the reason cash isn't making a comeback is because nobody has any.
Well, because now they've been told for years they're not allowed to use it. I think if a memo was sent saying, hey, beginning this weekend, we're going to take cash again, I think people would have it.
You should really start hawking people off and only pay in $2 bills.
Or dollar coins.
Right.
I'm sorry, how much? I'll just be a moment.
Get those gold dollar coins out there and start throwing those around.
They love me going through security. Can I have one of those little white round things? Yeah, what do you got? I got $23 in coins. Hold on a second. Yep.
Miller and Moulton fighting for cash until our very last day. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when, which is a fun one, by the way. And we'll have our final thoughts all coming up next on Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Chris Chambliss. What a season he has had.
That's even better.
What's that?
The Chambliss home run in the bottom of the ninth to beat the Royals was today in 76, too.
Oh, wow.
Mobbed.
Yep, first Yankees pennant in 12 years. Howard just kept talking.
Yes.
Just kept yelling.
For the New York Yankees, a thrilling, dramatic game with overtones of that great sixth game in the World Series a year ago, and then the seventh game too. What a way for the American League season to end. A spunky young Kansas City team. Look at them mob Chris Chambliss. What a season he has had. What a series he has had.
I loved Howard. God dang. It's a bad day for the Brits today, David.
Why is that?
Lost the Battle of Hastings when Normandy invaded them in 1066 and forced to accept Scotland's independence today in 1322.
700 years ago, huh?
Yeah. Going to the one place left with cash in the world after the show, David. It's the golf course with men playing golf. They all carry cash. Every single one of them's got cash on them.
Yes, you have to, because you have to pay your debts.
But they all have cash on them. It's $30 to play. That's what our game costs, $30 a guy. There isn't a guy that's walking in with less than $100 in his pocket. Ever. Except for me sometimes, who has $30 in his pocket.
I would get rid of the penny, by the way. They say charities would take a big hit if you got rid of the penny.
We really wouldn't just give them nickels, huh?
Well, that's my thought. My thought is they might make out better. Everybody have a good weekend.
You're out today, right?
I'm actually going to leave. I pushed it back. I'm leaving at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, good for you.
Going to get into Atlanta at 6:30. Driving the other two spotters up. We'll get on the road 7:30. Figure get there by 11.
And then drive back right after the game?
I'm hoping to land a spot on the bus.
What do you do? Just dump the rental car in Knoxville then and someone takes care of it?
Yeah, I just hand somebody the keys and say, Phil, take care of this. I believe since CBS spends so much money with Avis that they can drop cars off, I think, anywhere.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, 17 until we're done. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com.
What do you say? We get right at it?
Yeah, because there's a couple things that I think you and I want to spend a little time talking about.
Perfect. Then let's do it.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Bad day for the Brits today, David. They got their ass kicked in history today. 1066, Battle of Hastings. The Duke of Normandy comes in and defeats the English forces, and King Harold II is killed in the battle. 1322, Robert the Bruce of Scotland defeats King Edward II of England, forcing him to accept Scotland's independence. Bad day for the Brits.
Wow. Man, wonder how that went down. I'll fight you, but if I win, I get all that land behind you.
1884, George Eastman patents the paper strip photographic film. 1892, Arthur Conan Doyle publishes The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. 1905, the World Series. The Giants beat the A's to win the first league-sanctioned World Series 4-1. 1908, this is so great, David. Upset over seating arrangements at baseball's World Series, sports reporters form a professional group that will become the Baseball Writers Association of America. And they've been bitching ever since.
Well, I mean, that kind of goes along with free food, free parking. I mean, and a good seat in the press box. And I will say this, the football teams, college and pro, they in the last 10 or so years have figured out that, we give too many of the good seats to the media. How about if we move them? And so the media is being put in places that they're not happy about. Also, like at Alabama, Mark, very quickly, the press row used to be on Alabama side of the field, which is not the Sun side. So the sun's in your eyes on the other side of the field. They move the media to the other side of the field. Eli Gold and company have to call the game with the sun in their eyes and on the completely opposite field of where the cameras are. So if they have a monitor with them, they're going backwards.
1916 was the first PGA championship in men's golf held at Sewanee Country Club in Bronxville, New York. Today in 1926, Winnie the Pooh was released. 1957, the Everly Brothers' Wake Up Little Susie hits number 1. 64, Martin Luther King wins the Nobel Peace Prize. 65, the Dodgers beat the Twins in Game 7, their third title since moving to L.A. The MVP was Sandy Koufax.
He pitched it on 2 days rest against Jim Cott, who was pitching on 3 days rest. The reason that Koufax was kind of off center, game 1 of the World Series was on a Jewish holiday. So he didn't pitch. And it was a big deal then. All right. I only imagine how big a story that would be now. Would it be a big story or would it not at all be a story? So Drysdale pitched 1 and 4. Koufax pitched 2, 5, and 7. I think he threw a 3-hitter on 2 days rest.
1968, the Beatles' White Album is completed. 1976, the Yankees win their 30th pennant as Chris Chambliss leads off the ninth with a home run. They would beat the Royals 3-2. And a mob scene of all mob scenes at Yankee Stadium.
First pennant in 12 years, which for the Yankees was, a drought to end all droughts. And Mark Littell with a high fastball from the Royals, and Chambliss put it into the seats.
Kiss Alive 2 released today in 77. And the first TV movie from a TV series was today in 1978. Do you have any idea of any guess there, David?
Bionic Man.
It's a good guess because it's equally as bad of a show, but it's Rescue from Gilligan's Island. Let's see. Gretzky scores his first NHL goal today in 79. The Tigers beat the Padres in 84 for the World Series. In 85, the Jets retired Namath's number 12 on Monday Night Football. They would beat the Dolphins 23-7. Today in 92, both the AL and NL Championship Series would finish as the Jays would beat the Oakland A's 4-2, and the Braves would beat the Pirates 4-3. Sid Bream, Braves win, Braves win, Braves win.
30 years ago today, the Pirates have basically been irrelevant since. They went to 3 straight NLCSs, 90, 91, 92. I know about 7-8 years ago, they had like 3 winning seasons, went to the playoffs a couple times, won, I think, a wild card round. But they've not been back to an LCS in 30 years. And meanwhile, the Braves dynasty was just getting going.
In 95, the Braves would sweep the Reds. It was the first team to sweep an NL playoff in 95.
And that was a really good Reds team. Like, people thought it was actually better than the 90 team that won the World Series. And the Braves swept them.
97.
7 too.
97, Marlins beat the Braves to go to the World Series. 2003, Bartman deflects the ball away.
Ooh. Moise Alou not happy.
No, he was not.
Of course, it's funny. Alex Gonzalez was a Gold Glove shortstop, and he had a 2-hopper hit right to him, and it should have turned an inning-ending double play, and he boots it. And everybody forgets that, but they remember the actions of a fan sitting in his seat going for a foul ball.
Right.
Kind of funny that both teams had a starter named Alex Gonzalez.
Correct.
And in 2007, Keeping Up with the Kardashians premieres on the E! Cable network. Felipe, did you have a favorite Kardashian?
No.
I'm kind of surprised by that.
There's a starting 5 though. I know, like the All NBA Kardashians.
Those born today that are no longer with us, William Penn.
Big in Pennsylvania.
Exactly. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Big in the United States.
Right.
I threw this one in just because I couldn't resist. Lawrence Herkmeyer. He is the grandfather of cheerleading, which I did not know there was one, and he patented the pom-pom. Just thought that I would share that with everybody.
Wow.
And Roger Moore and the late, great Harry Anderson. Funny, funny man, funny, funny show. Those that are still with us celebrating birthdays today, Ralph Lauren, J.C. Sneed, former Pirate Al Oliver, LPGA golfer Beth Daniel, Thomas Dolby, you know, she blinded me with science, Keith Byers, Joe Girardi, Stephen A. Smith, and Usher, all celebrating birthdays today. What'd I miss, David?
A few little things. 130 years ago, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes was published.
Right. That was what I read early on in the segment.
Okay, well, then I missed it. 75 years ago today, Chuck Yeager breaks the sound barrier.
Ooh.
75 years ago today. He only died about 2 years ago. He was like 97, Chuck Yeager. Cuban Missile Crisis began 60 years ago today. You ask anybody, ask your mom, okay? Everyone from that generation, they were like, oh, yeah, we thought we were, we thought it was WW3 in a matter of days. And Pulp Fiction opened in theaters 28 years ago today.
Oh, wow. That's a good one that I should have had.
Have you ever had a Royale with cheese?
Look, it's the only choice that you make. If I were to go to McDonald's right now, that's what I would get.
Royale with cheese.
Exactly.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Right here in our backyard, Ashley Garner lost her wedding ring a couple of days before Ian. She was working in the yard. And they spent time searching the yard and the garbage and the garage for 2 days, no sign of the ring. She said, I just accepted it was gone. Then after the storm, they went outside to clean up. 10 minutes into cleaning, her husband's cleaning up the brush and the trees right next to the garage door. There's a pile of them. He moves over one pile, and there is sitting the wedding ring. That husband can do no wrong for the next, 3 to 5 years, David?
Boy, you'd like to think anytime he gets in a bind, all right, he could just look at her and go, hey, can I take a look at that ring? Man, that's beautiful.
Every single time. For the bad, we go to the friendly skies that were not so friendly in the Atlanta airport a couple of days ago, where a woman was merely asked to put her dog back into its cage and off of her lap. She refused over and over again, to the point where they start to throw her off the plane. Then she starts flipping out on the flight attendants. I haven't blanking done anything to you guys because you couldn't let my dog sit on my blanking lap. Then she continues her tirade, shouting at people who are filming her because the phones are up, at which she points a couple of blank U's and then throws a water bottle at one of the passengers, telling her to quit filming me.
Oh, hold on a second. I'm just sitting here minding my business. You throw a water bottle at me? Oh, it's on like Donkey Kong, honey.
No arrests were made. She was just merely taken off the plane. Finally, the ugly. Calvin Batista was accused of trying to smuggle 3 Burmese pythons across the U.S.-Canada border in his pants.
Oh, why? I mean, put them in a bag. I mean, put them in a suitcase. I mean, come on. What in the world?
Is that a snake in your pants, or are you just happy to see me?
And it's 3. And that's when you go, no, it's 3. What in the...
And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, October the 14th, 2022.
Man, whatever the book is, you got to throw it at him. I mean, really, we need to keep him off the streets.
Look at the two of you.
I have to admit,
going for a light sentence on this guy because he's carrying 3 snakes. Felipe's freaking out over there. I don't like snakes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a big snake fan, but I'm not the level of the two of you when it comes to my fear of snakes.
The one thing I will say, pythons don't scare me as much as most snakes for whatever reason, because they got to catch you to do any real damage to you, and they move slowly. Okay, so the pythons don't. I don't think I'm getting bitten by a python. If I can't outrun a python, okay, that's on me. But to put them in my pants, I mean, come on. There's dumb, and then there's, listen, we need to take you off the streets. You're a danger to society at large. Never mind to yourself.
Don't we need to throw the book at this guy, is the quote that Moulton gave us there.
Yes. Why? Because his level of stupidity is off the charts, and we need to protect the others from him.
It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Why? I mean, honestly. Okay, hey, I'm trying to sneak these 3 snakes across the border. What should I do? I got an idea. Just stuff them down your pants. I mean, how does that even come up as an idea?
You would think the carry-on would be a more suitable place for your 3 snakes.
A luggage. How about some luggage?
4:30 and 8:30 tonight for baseball. The Guardians and Yanks, yesterday's game postponed until today. 1:07 the start for Guardians and Yanks. Braves and Phillies, Dodgers and Padres is the order of games today, as San Diego hosting the Dodgers at 8:30.
Guardians and Yankees will play 4 in a row if it goes the distance. TBS for the Guardians and Yankees at 1 o'clock. FS1 for Braves, Phillies at 4:30. By the way, how about the Phillies sports weekend? Braves and Phillies Friday, Saturday. Cowboys, Eagles Sunday night. How about that little sports weekend? Tirico was begging for playoff tickets on the air last Sunday. They were previewing Eagles and Cowboys. And he starts mentioning PR people by name, and he goes, listen, we're going to be in town. I'm willing to come in town a day early. Can anybody get me tickets? First Padres home playoff game in 16 years tonight against the Dodgers.
Looking forward to the scene there. Really am. Their only team. They're going to be all jacked up. There's going to be a bunch of Dodgers fans. Should be a really fun scene in San Diego.
7 o'clock to 7:30 tonight, actually, on ESPN, Navy and SMU. SMU is a 12.5-point favorite. Meanwhile, UTSA is nearly a 5-touchdown favorite at FIU, the Panthers, and their Miami Vice field. Take a look at it, 8 o'clock, CBS Sports Network.
I've got to turn it on now just because of your constant reminder of the Miami Vice field.
I think they did a decent job with it. Better than UCF Space Unis last night. By the way, Lightning in Columbus on NHL Network at 7 o'clock or Bally Sports Regional, depending on where you live. Lightning and Blue Jackets tonight.
Was that an ooh in reaction to the field?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it. I think it looks better on a basketball court.
I would agree with that.
Yes. Looks way better on a basketball court.
Sounds like now you're not going to tune in at 8 o'clock.
Oh, it's on the CBS Sports Network. You almost have to tune in.
I tuned in just to see whether or not the network still exists.
It's the reason I've gone for years. And just, I got to keep reminding myself where it is on the dial, because sooner or later there's going to be a game there you want to watch, and you've got to know where it is. David, safe travels this weekend. I hope Alabama and Tennessee turns out as good as it could be, because it's going to be a great scene in Knoxville.
Miller and Moulton, have yourselves a great weekend. We'll do this again Monday morning. Where else but the Florida Sports Network?
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.